Good evening, one and all. It's Wednesday, it's the middle of the week, it's time for us to jump into some more good old Warframe. But we're here actually to prepare for good new Warframe, I suppose, because today is the plan to prep for the Prime access that is just around the corner. But first things first, welcome everyone. Hope you're doing well where you are around the world. And my apologies for the very slightly late start today. Turns out I missed a detail in the video, had to quickly respond to that. Yeah. Turns out DE have already implemented one of the, frankly, obvious changes to their workshop. That change was changing the Rhino requirements on one of the junctions from build Rhino to build a Rhino component in order to progress. And the thing is, they did that some point very, very recently. It was between me originally recording and then re-scripting, going through doing all sections over, cleaning up. At some point they then recently changed it, so when I grabbed a new screenshot because I wanted one of those higher resolution than what I previously grabbed, I didn't notice that that tiny little bit of text had a new line with a strike through on the old one. Oops. Did not notice that one. Just goes to show perhaps maybe those kinds of edits should be in bold and red and some kind of whatever. It's immaterial at this point. It's immaterial, I just missed it. But yeah, so who knows, maybe they'll change the other bits and pieces as well, because whilst that one is an obvious one, for those of you unfamiliar, let me just bring up the QOL. Where is it? Nope. There it is. New player experience, blah, 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 down to junctions. So yes, on the Mercury junction, they are changing the defeat the Jackal requirement to defeat the Jackal and collect all Rhino blueprints. And then they're adding in, it was previously start building a Rhino Warframe, now it's start building a Rhino component. Because if you have to build the frame, you first have to build the components, and that adds a time gate to progression, and a very nasty one, to be honest. So it's a good thing that that is switched out. One thing that occurs to me is that in the wording of Defeat Jackal, this has only just occurred to me right this second, it says in the wording they've given, defeat Jackal at Fossa on Venus and collect all Rhino blueprints. Now, hold up. What if, with the way they phrase that, what if they're about to change Jackal to drop all Rhino blueprints at the same time? Now, there's no way. But technically, that's what it says. Technically, that's what it says. Because it doesn't say defeat Jackal at Fossa on Venus multiple times and collect all Rhino blueprints. It just says defeat Jackal at Fossa on Venus and collects all Rhino blueprints. Like, the very phrasing of it would suggest it happens all at once. Just putting it out there. Maybe there's a hidden idea, or maybe it's just DE wording as usual. I'll be honest, it's probably DE wording as usual. There you go, Byte. DE do often do this thing where they'll use what seems to be obvious natural language and not quite catch the explanation they're given. With Archon Vitality also says more heat damage, but instead just adds an extra heat block. That is exactly the point, yeah. DE do have this tendency to say one thing and mean something either subtly or significantly different. See also when I did a video that broke down optimization of Tau Forged hunting when it comes to Archons, if there was specifically Tau Forged you were looking to get, when it turns out that when they said how it worked one way, they meant something subtly but significantly different. So it happens. So just pointing out that little detail there, not only did I miss that edit, but also technically, despite all logic, it does say something different to how Warframe works. Technically. What I can't say, hey Ken, just finished watching your video uploaded on YouTube. Yeah. You had very excellent points, providing good suggestions. Hope someone indeed present these suggestions to address problems you could foresee. I do have good reason to believe that they will pick up at least some of the information in there. Whether they take it on board and make changes based on that, or just take it as general feedback, that's up to them, but that's my piece. But there is a very good chance they'll at least see it. Because, well, the community team are looking to collect the feedback from the community. It's kind of their job. So, yeah. Kelton, thank you for the bot. And it was saying, could be something along what you recommended about hard coding a first run to give all parts. Could be. Although, if they're just going to give out all parts, they might as well just make it drop all parts. If that's the direction they go, why wouldn't they make it just always do that? Rather than a specific first run hard coding edge case. No, I don't think they're going to go that way, because that would give a false impression for the rest of Warframe. That wouldn't be a teaching experience. That would be quite the opposite. That would give someone the wrong idea, and so when they go somewhere else and they go, say, defeat Lech Krill, like, ah yes, I've got an Excalibur piece. Oh, it only gave me the one Excalibur piece, so I guess the other Excalibur pieces come from somewhere else then. Makes sense. So yeah. The whole point of the junctions and that kind of process, it's an active tutorial. Rather than walking you through it step by step and going, this is an assassination, this is a drop table, this is how you get things, they just go over there and get the reward. You go, oh shit, okay, we're going there, it's an assassination, I get the reward. Huh, but it says get all the rewards. Oh, there's multiple here, right. And that's why it needs to specify do it multiple times. But yeah, I covered that in the video as well. That's why I made a point of it being 2 runs for the requirement to teach about that repeating drop table. And I'm pulling that from experience. I didn't notice that when I first tried out Warframe. I went and I fought the much worse at the time assassination. And yeah, it just didn't make it clear to me that I needed to keep killing the same boss I just killed to get the different parts. Despite coming from games like RuneScape, where you would have boss fights, which you kill repeatedly and get different loot, somehow it just didn't connect here in Warframe, which, with everything else going on, is that really such a surprise? The start of Warframe is an experience. So yeah, it doesn't really make itself obvious there. Especially as well the way that we go into a mission, we complete the mission, we're out. There's that sense of finality at first. So yeah. Why is Zom not subbed? That's a question for Zom. Can I read your previous message? There is a bug with Avara's concentrated arrow that allows it to gain infinitely stacking range. Might be a potential reason for the nerf. No, I don't care if that's the reason for the nerf directly, or rather that's no justification. If that's the reason they're changing concentrated arrows, have a line of sight thing on it, because they have accidentally coded it to get infinite range, that is not good. So no, I'm not going to justify or even consider that justification, because that would be saying that DE's approach to bug fixing is to not bug fix, and that is a very dark take. And doesn't fit in with what all of DE does in general, quite honestly. If there's ever a bug that they don't directly fix, but give a sideward fix to, it usually comes down to an impossibility in the code to reasonably fix it. See, for example, the element damage switching to status damage on status proc bonuses coming from things like Valence Formation. And that seems to be, by my educated guess, as a result of making them non-combining. The idea that they can't fix infinitely stacking range on Ivara would be insane to me. Absolutely insane. But I was not aware of an infinite stacking range bug, though. Make sure you definitely report that. Exactly, Elu, yeah. You get the message from Lotus. Good job on the assassination target, Tenno. They won't bother us anymore. And game expects us to do it again. Yeah, it is a little bit of an odd one when you think about it that way. It is an odd one. Has anyone heard from Mirrorlab recently? I don't keep particular track of when people are around or not, because people are always welcome to lurk. But they have been a little bit quieter than their usual, yeah. Yeah. Oh, you the comment over on YouTube asking how to reach out to me privately. I didn't get a chance to respond to that one, I'll be honest. Typically there are relatively obvious avenues of how to reach out to me privately, so not sure on which of those avenues is not okay with you, but anyway. Point is, you can reach out privately, best by email. That way you're definitely going to get it into my inbox. It's not flooded out by Discord messages or whatnot. It's not wasted on Twitter. In fact, I closed my Twitter inbox because I don't use Twitter anymore. Honestly, the best way is just email. The best way is just email. But that's only if you need things to be completely private, whilst full of details. Also from LU, found out from this announcement. Oh, there's an announcement over on this one. So Pablo posting details on Twitter, Warframe posting updates to their dev workshop over on their Discord. Ooh, okay. Anyone ever feel like the internet's a little fragmented? Am I not interested in trying the bug out? Well, I mean, you want me to keep it secret. Why would I try it on stream? Just putting it out there. Why would I try it on stream? Is Pablo still posting on Twitter? Yes, he is not only posting on Twitter, but I didn't find a matching post on Blue Sky from him. So he was replying on Twitter, didn't feel the information warranted enough to repost. Yeah. No post on Blue Sky in past month? Yeah. I mean, I know I don't really post on Blue Sky, but I post on there more than I post on Twitter now because I've left Twitter. My account is still there to make it very clear that there is a Kenjir account, and the very last post on it tells you where to go from there. What's my plat farming option? I mean, there's 25 of them. Check out my guide on farming platinum, !plat for the link on that. From Descript saying, hey Aldi, I want to ask about abilities and other things at Snapshot Stats. Is there a video resource about this? Not from me, there isn't. In terms of a comprehensive one, there's nothing that I'm aware of, but that doesn't say there isn't one out there. It's just a case of I don't have that particular information, sorry. Snapshotting is a inconsistent feature, just like many of the other inconsistent features that exist in Warframe. I wish you all the best on that one. Now, in terms of today's goal is to prepare for the upcoming Prime Access. And the simple way to prepare for an upcoming Prime Access is to make sure that Syndicate standing is as high as possible, and to make sure the other sources of relic packs are prepared for, which pretty much comes down to Steel Essence. That is the goal. We'll notice here that my Syndicate standing across these Syndicates is not exactly doing terrible. That'll be absolutely fine. However, the Ostrons, plenty of work to go up on there. The Solaris, plenty of work to go up there. The, not Carvia, the Intrati, plenty of room to go up there as well. The other syndicates don't really matter the same because you can't get relic packs from them. At least I don't think you can get any from the Hex. So those aren't anywhere near as big an issue. And then there is, of course, Steel Essence as well. Let's just see, what is my Steel Essence compared to the cost of relic packs? This will be the easy way to check. Now, we can't actually get the relics yet because, of course, Ready Prime isn't here yet. So this is farming the capacity to get them when they're available. Let's see. Steel Path Honors. A relic pack. If I were to purchase max, that would cost 375 Steel Essence. I have 1,703. You know what? I think I might be okay. Might just be okay on that one. And I don't even actively farm Steel Essence, God. Oh, was there anything else in the shop? I didn't actually look. Was there anything else I want here? Steel Path Honors. No. No, I'm good, thanks. I don't need a kit gun ribbon. That's, not interesting. Descript say I was watching J videos, noticed no one mention it. Sorry, I noticed one mentioning it. Okay, don't recall that in the build vid. It's consistency why it wasn't brought up. Either consistency or just unawareness of it. There's various bits and pieces that kind of come in together on it. I can't give you a clear answer on that. I'm not even certain as to which snapshot you're referring to, but the point is that some kinds of snapshots don't really need mentioning. Other snapshots are not something that I'll catch straight away. It really comes down to a matter of significance in the videos. If something comes up and it's like, oh, look at this quirk, and it really just says, hey, a thing that happens, it doesn't really earn screen time in a video. People are watching videos to get every last minute details of a Warframe. That's usually what poring over the wiki exists for, or testing oneself. I do the guides more of a practical application sense. I hope that makes sense. You need to do more superpower CLSs? Well, you know what to do then. You know exactly what to do there. Alright, let's get started with the Syndicate standing by doing the Syndicate missions. Also, let's swap off of these old weapons. Let's go with... I don't actually know. I'm probably not going to use a secondary Sasada. Let's just equip the laser beam. Probably not even going to use it. Slap those on there, and let's swap this out for... It's really the level of missions I'm going to go into. Let's swap the form in Prime. Why not? Let's just make sure I haven't broken the modding on it since I last used it. Has been a hot moment. No, that should be fine. Alright then. Dr. Steve Turner says, sorry to possibly push away from the discussion, but out of curiosity, is it possible to reliably maintain 4 of the syndicates at max rank? I believe it is, but there's also no good reason to do so. Aside from just having yet another one you could technically trade in with when using medallions, but it's not worth it. Honestly, it's just not worth it. 3 syndicates like I have is about your best shout. Yeah. From Elliot saying, I feel like D is trying to start a concentrated effort to give better in-between update information since Tekkit Encore, especially with that game updates channel in the Discord. I can only hope actually ends up some kind of comprehensive communication. I'll be honest, piecemeal information doesn't really do me very well. Game updates in the form of, we're updating the update that we announced in the update, but the announcement for the thing that's changing is elsewhere, and the stuff on the side of the thing of the other bit. I don't have a full-time job of finding out what DE wants to communicate. Incidentally, that full-time job should be someone at DE making sure they communicate everything they have to communicate. So if they're going to reveal some information, some crucial element or crucial information about how they're working the updates on a dev short, then also post it to the forums, and also post it to the Discord, and post it to Blue Sky. Hell, post it to Twitter if they're still using that. It doesn't matter what information they're putting out, that information should then go out across their various channels. They're a big enough company, they've got an actual community team, that's who should be doing that, quite frankly. And yeah, Ladybug, you're very right. Yeah, Discord servers for information is definitely a problem for discoverability. This is proving to be quite an issue in general for certainly niche topics, in that you can't just find them. There's a lot of old forums that would be full of useful information, and then it moved over to Reddit being full of that stuff. How many of us have tried Googling a topic and just adding the word Reddit on the end to make sure you're getting an actual answer and not some AI-generated blog? But now, and over the last few years, more and more is moving over to Discord and other private server stuff, where not only do you not really see it if you're not immediately seeing it, but also you can't just kind of search for it later or be incidentally given it. That is, yeah, that is an increasing issue. You're very right on that. I mean, if I look right now, if I open up my Discord, there are a couple in-person gaming things that have got notifications on them. I don't know which ones I want to keep it up with. If someone's posted something of interest to me in one of the specific category channels, but then there's been 100 people discussing it, Discord doesn't highlight to me what is of interest there. It's not set up for that. So yeah, that kind of thing does lose stuff, and that's why I try to have my specific announcement-y channels, but even then that's only so much on that side. I don't post things like live stream announcements to things like YouTube and Blue Sky, for the obvious reasons of, if someone's really that interested, they should already kind of be here. But maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe I am wrong on that. Maybe I could substitute... maybe I could spend more time on that myself, actually. Cross-posting various bits and pieces, although I don't really do much in the way of updates myself, do I? Because I'm a creator, not a game developer. Also, I don't have a companion. Oopsie. There we go. And solid verglass it. There we are. Now it's ultra powerful. Syndicate missions. Let's see. Excavation. Why not? Looking at these, the excavation one has shards to find. I might as well switch myself to Golden Instinct so that I can find those. Just checking, does Golden also have... Doesn't use Valence Formation, this one. I'll bear that in mind. Doesn't use Valence Formation. Cool. Let's do this. You say that happy hour, and yet almost every stream I'll get someone pop in and going, oh my god, I didn't know you streamed. Which is a thing. For a moment I wondered who was with me. Forgot they were here. Alright, first one, where is it? Actually in this room, somewhere in this direction.
I will help you recover them.
You know, I might as well just air support to get started.
Prepare for incoming support.
I'm preparing. Alright then, there we go. I still find it weird that the delivery of air support is tied to when Ordis is allowed to speak, compared to everyone else trying to say stuff. Everyone else find that weird? I find it very weird. Let's grab the power cell. Launch myself over this. And let's do a scan here. You hold position.
Use fuel cells to keep it powered while protecting it from enemy fire.
Let's see. If I were a medallion, where would I hide? I'm not familiar enough with this tile set to intuitively know that answer. I should probably be on the defense. Those guys are actually already failing at their defense. There we are. I'll just do the actual mission and then focus on the pickups. If I find them along the way, all the better. But mission first. It's going to be easier. I did not idly shoot at the Arbiter's operatives. You can't prove that.
The scanner has picked up a target. Go to the dig site.
Just say, it did get better with news channels, be able to feed them all into channels on your servers. If you're already subscribed to them. Yes. So, if an announcement channel is appropriately used, and if it's subscribed, you subscribe to it into your server in an appropriate location, and you're ready to receive that information at that point in time, because heaven help you if you have a bunch of things you want to keep on top of, then sure. But it's still easy for things to get lost in the source, especially for servers that don't separate out their kind of announcements. I mute most Discords I join entirely, and that is because a lot of those Discords, they will go, at everyone, I'm live now! I don't need to be at it every single time you go live. But then they'll use the same at everyone for every kind of announcement. That's why I have on my server a more pinged role. If you want the increased pings of, hey, I'm going live, then you get them. But then if it's something where I really want to make sure everyone hears it, that is an at everyone one. I didn't actually see where that glow went. Not there. Grab this power cell. They can at least do at here. At here is only good for those who are actively available at that moment in time. It doesn't grab people's attention if they aren't already right there. So, at here is a very much right here, right now kind of thing. It doesn't have a great use case, I'll be honest. giving people different roles and pinging the roles is straight up just the best option for Discord for that kind of thing. And again, because it takes effort, too many servers just don't use that and refer to, hey, if you're part of my community, you want to know everything about me ever, right? At everyone. And you're saying, if it's a whole channel for going live announcements, at least you can fully mute the whole channel, it's fine. On the one hand, yes, you're right. On the other hand, again, there'll be misuse of other at everyone pings, and it just leads me to silencing them. So I don't need to be pinged throughout the day for every last little thing going on, but then I miss out on informational stuff that I do care about. But broadly, I just end up having to mute channels.
While it extracts the artifact. An artifact has been located.
Yeah.
Proceed to the dig site.
Discord is not the best way to disseminate information, and certainly not to the general public. The larger the Discord, the less I'd say it's worth using for that kind of delivery. Are you just sharing a detail between friends? Sure, why not? But most of them aren't. Now, think about it. If you're part of, say, 50 servers, and how often should a server have something worthwhile to say to you? If a server has something worthwhile to say to you, say, once a week, which is a pretty low amount of, hey, look at this server, that means that 7 servers are going to be pinging you every single day. That can quickly scale out of control. Yeah, that's my take on it.
Excavator is ready to go. Keep it powered and protect it from enemy fire. The scanner has picked up a target. Go to the dig site.
So with this one fully powered, I want to protect this one.
Excavator stalled. Find another fuel cell and take it to the excavator.
Let's repower that one because its shields are down. Never mind, it just finished. That was a waste. Oh well. Get this one as powered as I can.
This excavator is
From some, so what they hope happens of all talk about durability is vulnerability during operator. Get where some abilities make it just so 90% DR instead of invuln. It feels stupid when casting Iron Skin. Makes going into operator less safe. Are you referring to the whole, if you have any ability active, your frame is vulnerable whilst you're in operator? Is that the bit you're on about, Zob? I think the entire point of that is the whole, otherwise you could cast big ol' abilities and then just go operator. Abilities continue to do their thing, but the frame they're coming from is at 0 risk. Say like aura abilities. It's there to address a type of cheese, really. How was that not hitting for a while? There we go. Okay, Zom, what's your solution?
protect the unit while it extracts the
If you'd rather another solution, what is it? What resonates with you as the correct way to do it?
dig site.
Bearing in mind the reasons it exists in the first place. Because if something exists without reason and someone turns around and says, I don't like it, that's fine. Because anything that can be stated or placed without reason can be rejected without reason. But as there are reasons,
To restore its shields.
what's the alternative that one can reason? Operator is extremely safe. Use your void mode, become invisible and intangible. Yep. That is exactly the thing, yeah. Alright, will this survive 30 seconds so I can just go explore? Actually, you know what? Now it will. Nearest one over... up this way? Looked like it was pointing in here. Which, I mean, it very well could. This actually goes on somewhere. Am I off cooldown to use this? Yes, I am.
For incoming support.
Keep fighting and excavating. When you need it, extraction is ready for you.
I feel like those endless messages that say you can keep going shouldn't come up if you're in a mission that's supposed to end. I get that you can do more excavation here, but there's no functional reward for it other than the Krautic. This happens with Disruption as well. We're like, oh yeah, you're finished. You've done your 8 conduits. You physically cannot do more conduits, but they'll still pop up and be like, hey, well that was nice that we got that one. You're not going to leave now, are you? Your reputation says you can do more. Like, I physically can't. Don't judge me for this.
Excavator is ready to
Yeah.
go.
In this case you can, but not to any real
Protected from
reward.
enemy fire. The scanner has picked up
As I say, marking individual abilities to do that, I'll just turn them off. Don't know how hard coding that is. Sure, it would have to be done individually, but rather punish literally any ability, rather than punish any ability with duration. I get you on that side, Tom. So you're looking to have a solution which increases the amount of inconsistency that a player would experience. How would a player know directly and intuitively that they're using an ability which is putting their frame at risk? Would there be some very clear marker?
Excavator destroyed.
How clear?
Is now
How well communicated would it be? How do we decide which ability should and should not continue? Who's deciding that? What are those criteria? These are the kinds of questions that come up with that kind of solution. When something becomes more piecemeal, more complex, it's in a case of, okay, so how is that all communicated? As opposed to just, if you have an active ability, your frame is at risk. And that's more of a risk for frames that can't otherwise adequately defend themselves, right? I feel like I'm going in circles, but the marker pointed back this way, so I'm going to have to check everything. Was there something over here that I missed? Nope. Their abilities to put the frame at risk whilst in operator? Yes, every single ability that has a duration. If it is an active ability, so you've cast it, it has a time left on it, or it's a toggled ability, so it's just active indefinitely, your frame has 90% damage reduction rather than 100%, and remains a legal target for enemies to shoot at. The hell is this? Is it? Ah, okay. It was in the room. But that led me to nothing as well. What am I missing here? Not that, that's what. Okay. Getting a little bit confusing here. Is it referring to something down here that I'm just not getting a direct line from? They weren't pathing to it very well because of it being down there. Got it. Okay. Next one. Where is it? Up here.
excavator deployed. Protect the unit while it extracts the artifact.
Yeah, only abilities that stay active count. I'm just going to pick these up. I might as well pick up everything. Full loot. Yeah, only abilities that stay active count. If it gives you a buff that lasts for a duration, but the ability itself then turns off, then that doesn't count against you. Yeah.
Excavator
It's
destroyed. That
it's a weird one, but it is a weird one that is consistent. If you know that you have an ability active, then you have a vulnerable frame, as it were. You can think of it like, can it be dispelled? If it can be dispelled, then it counts. Oh, there was that. Okay, somewhere this way for our next one. Is it perhaps over here? Not picking up anything that could be over there. Use that to smash a whole bunch of things nearby. We could also just mute abilities, have no effect on enemies and allies when operating, let Frame be invincible. Is that going to be a toggleable choice? Or are we now taking away the ability to use those abilities whilst in operator form? A whole bunch of stuff that way. Because some people want those abilities to be active. There we go, 5 of 8. Oh! Huh. I've been playing this game how many years? And there's a passageway there. Alright. Alright, yeah, there we go. That was not a Golden Instinct issue. That was just a map knowledge issue from me. Alright, we got something out here. Doesn't look like it. Let's slam my head into a wall. Yeah, no, it's not out here. I probably should have brought an explosive weapon for this, not the Fullman. I say that holding the glaive, but that's a little clunkier for that. And it doesn't even work the same. Okay, that's all 8 of them. Let's get out of here. Oh, Ladybug. Ladybug. Sometimes I'll slam my head into the wall even when the numbers do work. Sometimes it just be like that. Alright. Yep. Didn't mean to fall down there. And done. There we are. Alright, cool. Sometimes you slam your head into the wall because you missed a Vile Rush. That too. There we are. Let's pick up a bunch of medallions. And a very nice change some time ago now that made it where there's always going to be a maxed out medallion somewhere. But there we are. They would say I'm still laughing at your reactions to Range Mob making the numbers have too many decimals. I just... Significant figures and decimal places are a relatively easy thing to constrain. It just takes consistency. And somehow still in 2025, that word continues to bug me around here. That is very much a me problem. Also, let's swap this one for Envoy. That should do the trick. Alright.
I need you to get inside enemy data vaults.
Here's the closest one that way. Yes. That's suspicious.
Your path has led here. Prove yourself.
I just don't trust it. When the whole mission's going that direction, but there is a side corridor, I don't trust it. But it turns out this time it's correct. I should have trusted it. Hold on.
Tenno, be on the lookout for increased security measures. The
I wanted to be certain.
destroy their data than let it get into our hands.
Now I've got an explosive weapon. I can explode things. It's fine. No. We're going down. He's fine. Let's do the scan. Still this way. Good.
Good work. You have proven the prosecutors are not invincible.
Oh, is that what I did? Oh, good to know. Thanks, Lotus. Activate that. It's pointing off towards B and C. That's fine with me. Just means there's nothing I need to look out for over here. Wait, is there really none through? Oh shit! I knew that was a ledge. There are really no medallions out in this whole area. Okay, I'm going to take that as a no.
You're nearing the console. Trigger the alarms now, and they will start destroying the data. Stay focused. There's a heavy unit approaching.
What heavy unit? Ah, to have the damage to just insta-blap the sensor regulators. It does make low-level spy just that much easier, doesn't it? So long as you one-shot them, they can't set off the alarm. A surprise to absolutely no one. Just verifying. What? Yeah. Little. Found it. Do I know good builds for Dante? Yes, exclamation mark Dante.
Keep moving. None of the scanners have detected you.
Oh, something else out this way? It's right there. Yes, I knew that. Whilst I'm on cooldown, I'm just going to check these other markers. Now we're fine. Didn't even catch the reveals at PAX. A new Warframe update and New Prime. Yes, they announced a spider frame. They announced the next update is going to be involving Duviri. And it's going to be involving Thrax asking for our help. Because things have gone a little bit wrong. And by a little bit, I mean, hey kiddo. Can I show it after this? No, exclamation mark Dante. I've literally done the build guide for you, so you don't need to wait for a live stream to stop what it's doing and just show you a build. You can just go to the video. It's already there for you, mate.
Excellent work. A clean
It's far easier for both of us. Alright, let's just check. Is there anything inside of here? Oh shit, there is. I promise I'm not blind. I promise you. I'm just slightly dumb. Oh, yeah, I'm doing another scan just in case. No, we are definitely going this way now. Okay, good. Wait.
Stay focused. There's a heavy unit approaching.
Wait, down. But there's no down here. It can't go down. There's no down. What do you mean down? Let's see where you go. You go in here? Alright. Inside of the vault.
Target console is nearby. If you trigger the alarms now, the enemy will start destroying data.
I should be able to blow that up. Weird lighting. I've lost track. There it is.
Data
Got it.
extracted. They won't even know it's gone. We have everything we came for.
Easy take
Get
out
to
of
extraction.
them. It's saying, there it is. Beautiful. Didn't find it in Twitch. Is it on YouTube? Sorry, I don't see the pronoun game here. Let's have a look. Oh, it's still the Dante thing. Mate, I said exclamation mark Dante and someone else also did it for you. And yes, it'd be a YouTube thing. My build guides aren't on Twitch, they're on YouTube. So yeah, exclamation mark Dante, literally just type that phrase into chat, no one else do it, and let this person do it for themselves, so the bot can respond to them directly. That's how these chatbots work on a lot of live streams. When you do exclamation mark and a keyword, if it's set up for it, it'll reveal the information or video or whatever that's linked to it. Or again, you just YouTube, Kengineer, Dante, done so. Both work. Where is this thing? Is it in here? There it is. Will it be an Umbral Ureli Prime? I have no plans of putting Umbral mods onto Ureli or Ureli Prime myself. That would be really daft to do. I have no desire to do that.
Prepare for incoming support.
This way. I've detected one. That's slightly annoying.
Stay focused. There's a heavy unit approaching.
Wait, is this end of mission? Please, number 8. That's not number 8. Oh, that's not good. That is not good. How have I missed one? Where is it? What? What? What do you mean? What do you mean it's that way? That's a wall. See, I'm looking through here. It's gonna be. Oh God, what the frick is that? All right. I'm gonna get the medallion. I'm 100%ing these, even if it wastes my time a little bit. So it was pointing out in this direction. Yeah, it's pointing out roughly over here. There's something there. Found it.
I'm detecting a large security.
And that is how you use the map.
It's the Grenier.
Ah, I slightly misjudged that jump there. I was doing so well. A lot of those jumps were just absolutely perfect, and then no. But there we are.
Another job well executed.
Hello, Percy. Good to hear you popped on over from Xenosfire. Hope you're having yourself a good day. Hey, Vara Piece. I heard she's hard to farm. I should probably build that Avara, you know, considering she's so overpowered that she needs a line of sight check nerf. Because abilities require line of sight on them. Don't they go on instinct? Don't they transmutation probe? Don't they catalyze? Don't they balefire? Such pointless justification. Ah, dear. Alright, disruption. Let's go do that one. Up and on after eating lunch? Yeah, fair do. Tells me which continent you're on. Well, narrows it down to 2. They give Belfair LOS, you're gonna riot. Understandable, honestly. Did they give a justification for Concentrated Arrow needing LOS? They didn't say why it needed it. They said that it brings it in line with other abilities. Despite the fact that it's a weapon ability, and weapons, let alone weapon abilities, typically do not require LOS. What other abilities? I mean, quite a few other abilities have LOS checks on them, but still the point is just, why does this one need it? Just saying that other things have LOS is not a justification. What's actually going on here, DE? Sounds like an exploit squash they don't want to acknowledge. If it's an exploit squash, then don't mention it in the workshop. Workshop is for discussion things. If they're just going to do something, and it's to deal with a problem, and there's no discussion to be had, why put it there? Let that pop up on the stream is pretty awesome. It is, isn't it? Yeah. I can't remember how that comes about, but I like that we have it. Anyway, I'm just kind of searching the back corners at the moment. I should just start the mission proper. Let's go do the disruption. I can find medallions along the way. Let's pop this now, actually. What are we playing for today? Syndicate farming and all the other bits and pieces to allow us to be prepared for Ireli Prime.
Outgoing communication cipher.
Let's go grab those 2 which are back behind me. What's going on here? Oh, that's what's going on. There it is.
Shall we listen in?
Flap. What did I pop just now? So I have an air support. Oh, just give me this thing. Damn it. I have an air support which will scan within 150 meters of me radially for quote-unquote rare items. Oh boy. I was not going to find that one easily, was I? Crikey. Can I bounce off this? Nope, that does not have collision. There we go. Yeah, that one would have been a pain to find. Thank you for the key.
Almost there, you clever vermin. But what to do next? Can you feel that coming rush?
Concerned can use his Nux on his Archwing. I might just have it left over there from leveling it, to be honest.
Good for business.
I don't exactly use it. Yoink. And let's go start this hunt. 10 out of lifesteal. Oh, nice. Which way? Is someone getting vaulted? Someone always gets vaulted. I don't remember who, but yes. Apparently it's Wisp. Oh good god, we're at Wisp being vaulted time. Whew. Well, he did his best. It wasn't very good, but it was his best. Let's go turn these in. I think my one is down here. And then this one. Are they both coming from the same direction? That would be convenient. Yes, they are. One down.
These indicate these conduits are connected to a massive stockpile of resources.
2 down. There we are. You're very welcome, Kels. And I do hope that D look further into health tanking as well. It's not that health tanking is bad, it's not that health tanking is broken, it's just that the scaling needs to address the levels they're giving us. Because make no mistake, this is not a player issue when it comes to health tanking or shield gating, not in the slightest. It is not a player issue. Players are doing absolutely nothing wrong. It is entirely a DE choice. Why is it that players are routinely going to level cap on Void Cascade? It's because it's one of the fastest ways, if not the fastest way, to get to level cap. And it's rewarding for doing so. The arcanes it pays out are tremendous. D made it that way. D left it that way. They chose to ramp up the level scaling in a way that just wasn't happening before. Even with Disruption, it's nowhere near as fast as that. That is a DE choice. And then by making levels ramp up, be it in Circuit, be it in Void Cascade, or just starting much higher with EDA and ETA, they chose to make them that much more damaging, because that's the biggest part of level increase for enemies. It makes them more damaging. So we need the tank to handle it. And as I mentioned in the video, sustained or indefinite immortality. Derek says there's also modding cost issue compared to shield gating or the cheapest option Mesmer skin. You're very right, yeah. So I didn't go too much into the practicalities of achieving the various forms of immortality, but you're absolutely right that for most health tanking options you have to invest more and more as levels go up, and this is kind of just the point I was making with the whole what's the difference between level 20 and 2000 if you're immortal. There is no difference. Typically speaking, if you need to tank more in a healthy game, that means you need to invest more. So health tanks having to spend more to get there, that's fine. But they're competing against outright immortality that can handle things 640 times more damaging than level 150. That's an insane amount to just tank the same way. That is a ludicrous difference in value. So yeah. From my perspective, and I've said this for a while, is that levels should actually mean something. It already irks me that levels in Warframe aren't really comparable. A level 10 Butcher and a level 10 Heavy Gunner are two very different enemies. And what we considered a level in leveled games isn't a level here. A level 10 Butcher does not even hold a candle to a level 10 Heavy Gunner. But we still call them level 10 because they are their base unit scaled to level 10. Quite confusing. Ah, there you are. Yeah, shooting by weapon at nothing does this big AoE that blows up all the containers in that radius, and so it takes them off my minimap, so I know what I'm actually looking for, where it is. Let's just pop another one of these. I'm close to extraction, so if there's anything that way, it should find it. We found one. But I've got 3 more to find. Oh, that's not good. That is not good. Petra, I don't think the people you're wanting to speak to are here. Just saying. Alright, let's do scan. Area barren? Jesus, it must be right at the start. Oh no. Okay, let's find the route. I will admit this is easier in a squad when you've got multiple people going and finding the stuff, especially with team pickups, but it's fun to just do it myself, even if it is a little bit of effort. Also, no more enemy spawning, meaning I can't reduce the cooldown on my ability, the specific reason to put it on Labos. Oof. Oof. Alan must be loving this, just watching me running around picking up medallions like, the mission's done, go home, Tenno. There's nothing left for you to steal. This way again? Ah, okay. There were just 2 off in this direction I didn't explore, I guess. There it is. I was mostly looking at the minimap. Fair enough, Petra, fair enough. Can we get an purple? You absolutely can. There you are. Lost the source say, it feels like a terminology issue to me. Calling it level implies something to someone who plays games. Whenever I introduce someone to Warframe, one of the things I have to explain is the enemy level doesn't mean anything. Yeah. It's enemy scale? Like, it is level of Butcher, it's just that level doesn't apply to anything else. And so is almost useless information. We can vaguely say, oh, this frame can tank such and such a level, this frame can handle that level, I can kill XYZ level. But we then always have to qualify it as to, well, we're meaning we can deal with the top end of enemies at said level. And the others are just kind of along for the ride in comparison. It's a bit of a weird one. I get the alternative would be to say, oh, well, this Butcher is level 10, but this Heavy Gunner is level 50. Just to make it so that when you see a level 50 Butcher, you go, oh shit, that's as tough as that Heavy Gunner I saw the other day. Which wouldn't be as easy to work with, I absolutely get. But then, I also wouldn't expect you to have a level 5 Butcher and a level 50 Heavy Gunner in the same mission. That would be a bit... but that's exactly what we have, so... Honestly, not sure how I'd rate that talent. Other than just, it do be a bit confused. Lady would say, level 10 Butcher and level 50 Heavy Gunner in the same mission can imply that Butchers evolve into Heavy Gunners, just amusing to you. I don't see that, no. I don't see that. It's like if you're in a Pokemon game, you see a Pidgey and you see a Caterpie, you don't go, oh shit, so one of these evolves into the other, right? No, I don't see the connection there, sorry. Interception. This one does not have medallions. Alright then. Hello, Lucky. Should level be based on how much damage they deal to equalize the threat level? Not necessarily damage dealt, it's more of a threat assessment. So that is a combination of damage they can deal, damage they can tank, and utility that they bring to an encounter. That's how I'd rate it. Yo! Yo, 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 yo! Mantis, thank you very much for the 20 gifted subs going out to community there. That's gone out to Exotic Potato, to Velmir, to That One Moth, to Carnival Boy, to The Clown, to Kali, excuse me, to Jamal Father Sugarbron, to Arbigirl, to the MNX, to Longshot Frame, to Lenil, to Miss Robotnik, to KMBTL, to Mitchy Ferry, to Sneeko, to Nullified Numbskull, to Belial, to Lord Varan, to Ursa Major, and to Rarara. Mantis, thank you very much for the gifted subs there. Much appreciated. Absolutely. Cheers. And also Atlas Moth. Ah, thank you very much, Mantis. Now, I'm hoping that's just Mantis being generous and not Mantis about to go, okay, so Ken, I lost a Lashak. Also, I forgot I'm here for these things. They look different. It threw me off. Gift sub-reading interrupted by ads. I guess you are not one of those who received one. You do not own a Lashak yet. Fair enough. They're not the most expensive ship, so it is more manageable. But then their use cases are not as many as I would expect you to have to need it for. Yeah, just don't lose it, it'll be fine.
Tower captured. Beginning stream decode now.
Mantis wandering in with 20 gift subs and hiding a Gara behind their back. I mean, if Mantis wanted to wander in and be like, hey Ken, Gara happened again. Well, similarly, hey Ken, what's an assign? Hey Ken, do you know someone called Macra? Yeah, please do not lend Mantis a 2-bill Gila. That is not a sound investment. No offense, Mantis, but that is not a sound investment. Oh shoot, I defended the wrong point. I thought that was a... Oh well. You know, it's just occurred to me. It's just occurred to me. I said that this was a mission that did not have these spawns because it has the highest standing on it. But what?
For incoming support.
Wait, what? I thought the whole point was it's a small map, so you get more standing rather than you get spawns
The enemy have
of
taken a tower.
medallions,
Must
but
be captured.
I guess I'll take the bonus. Also, that's a lot of enemies, and they're kind of slightly dismantling me here.
Tower online.
Well, that stopped them taking A. Just fire a single missile at it.
We have control of all 4 towers.
There we go. Alright, Centaur. Have a good one. At least this is a very effective weapon at getting them off the points. I thought it was more than just defense that didn't have the spawns. I thought it was a case of low standing, meaning there's medallions. High standing meaning it's not medallions. Because the high standing was making up for the lack of medallions. Not fully, but a little bit. But evidently, that's not completely true. So, I could look into that more later. But yeah, just on the whole Mantis and the Shark, Gila, Gara, Mackerel, all that stuff. We were referencing EVE Online. We do have a few people in the community who play that. I run a small group there. We do bits and pieces from time to time when I have the time to. Mantis has also been running a couple events as well now, stepping up to that plate, which is much appreciated. So yes, if you're somebody who's heard about EVE Online but has felt either too intimidated or just not sure even how to get started into it, we have a community that attends to that. DM me on Discord if you're interested in trying that out. We need Tenakai to stay active forever once activated, and have the bar on the reticle indicate Tenakai is active.
Try and capture another signal. Be careful.
Why would Tenakai stay
The
active
enemy
forever? I
has
don't...
surely
What?
rallied strongly.
Tenakai is a type of attack. Alsu, please do not snipe. My community, thank you.
You have captured a radio tower.
Oh, you were joking. Well, bad jokes are also disallowed, so get double hit. Just for trying to defend it that lazily. It was just a joke, bro. Come on, Alsu, come on.
Beginning stream decode now.
What kind of a stream do you take this for?
Words coming in, so many of you being your best selves.
Sorry, Nora, Alsu isn't.
Find herself with admiration.
Hello there. Was that Daovid? Daovid? I actually, that's too many vowels in a row. I'm sorry, I'm too English to pronounce that many vowels. I'm gonna need some help on that one. Daovid, got it. I got it the first time. Oh, well, I just don't trust myself to get pronunciations correct.
We are
I am still haunted by the ridicule I received from friends when I first pronounced Leviathan. Because I had seen it written plenty of times, but I'd never heard it said. And so it came to bring it up in conversation, and I didn't say Leviathan. I saw two names in it. I saw Levi and Nathan. So, Leviathan. Yeah, it's the gluttonous Leviathan over there. I mean, can you fault me for reading it that way? Can you fault me? All the letters were there. It fits a naming composition, and it's a name. Leviathan. How was I supposed to know that we just use the letters completely differently at random times and no one ever mentions it in the slightest? Your friend pronounced the Ian Lovecraft? Oh wow, okay. That one's a little bit special, but yeah. It's an English issue rather than a skill issue? It is, especially when you said a English issue. Yeah. We are all subject to the pains of English. God, I slipped up on lesser and fewer the other day, whilst in the middle of an MTG Commander game, and the player to my fucking left called me out on the difference between less and fewer. Really now? Really? I'm getting my ass handed to me in Commander and you're judging my word choice. Needless to say, I accepted that I was defeated and threw everything I had at him to make sure he also could not win. You gonna be like that? You won't get it. It's just rude. They were joking. It was all in good in good humour, but at the same time, that kind of humour also gets you slapped, and so slap I did. In game, of course. You know, not going to physically assault someone. What's the difference between less and fewer? It's a matter of continuous versus discrete numbers.
We have also disrupted their communications.
So you can weigh less because it's you're not weighing specific kilograms or pounds. You can have a fractional amount. Whereas you have fewer dice because you can't have half a die, or you shouldn't have half a die. It's broken at that point. It's still a die, it's just a broken die. So if you use a smaller number of dice, you're not using less dice, you're using fewer dice. That's technically how it is. So you'd weigh now that's a good one. Would you weigh fewer pounds or less pounds? The pounds are discrete in the in terminology there. So you would weigh less, but you'd weigh fewer pounds. Because weight is the continuous thing, but pounds are discrete objects, as it were. It's this is why English sucks. We don't need to say there's a distinction between two different types of less, but English has it. Yeah. So there are fewer people here today because individual people. But there's less noise today, you could say, because there is a lower overall volume. It's a sliding scale rather than a dotted scale. Yeah. Think learners is countable versus uncountable. See, that gets into a difficult other bracket of things, Ladybug, because then you get the mathematicians to step up and start talking about countable versus uncountable infinities, and then we just have to all sigh because they've been awoken again. And by saying it like that, I'm the ones who awaken them. Very sorry. Anything can be continuous if you try hard enough. Oh, come on now. No, let's not. More is the same for continuous as well as discrete? Yeah. Yeah, we have 1 for increase, but 2 for decrease, depending on the type of decrease. And some people feel the urge to correct people when they refer to one instead of the other. If you assume people as sort of an entity, you could say less people. No, I don't think so. I don't think that does technically fit in any context I can think of. Would people and viewers be the same, so less viewers? Well, it shouldn't be less viewers, it's fewer viewers. Less viewers is technically incorrect. No matter how much nicer it may sound to say, because fewer viewer is repeating the repeating some of the phonemes there. It just kind of feels like you're doing a play on words. But yeah. Less viewers is technically wrong. Now, less average viewers would be correct, because average can be a continuous one. It's not discrete individuals. That's now just a metric. It's a continuous metric. So yeah. Language rules are just a concept, we can change them. Very true, yes, very true. Something I was not raised to respect, so that took a while to get over. It's like how people use literally to mean something that is not literal. When you know they don't mean it to mean literal, and they don't mean it to mean literal, but they just say literally, if you find yourself upset by that, you're one of the ones that's, I would say, stuck in the mud in this regard. Now judge, that's borderline racist. Let's not. Doesn't matter how right you think you are. You're also wrong, but no. Sounds like an acoustic problem. You know, you can say the word autistic here, and yes, I am. Not everything needs to be turned into some TikTok alt version of saying it. Huh. This thing was actually climbing the parkour properly. Alright. There it is. 1 of 8. Your friends and family do that. Don't let it bother me, but do know when they spend too much time with them. I'll start doing it too. Honestly, just let people communicate, because that's the thing at the end of the day. Words are communication. The rest of it is basically irrelevant pageantry. So long as you are communicating accurately enough that people understand what you have to say, there's no point getting one's knickers in a twist about the rest of it. There's just not really a point. Unless the objective is to ensure that someone knows what is supposed to be correct for a qualification, something like that. If you are speaking in an official capacity that requires a certain level of decorum and professionality. Unless you're pulling up someone in those kinds of circumstances, it's just not worth it. It's like the difference between schedule and schedule. Do you say schedule, like SH at the start, or do you say schedule, SK at the start, if you will? Neither of them spelled that way, of course. Which do you say? We're going to get different answers here because it is a matter of a dialect, I suppose. Schedule, 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 calendar, Petra. That was not the question. Ooh, seen a lot of SK, which is what I expected. I'm not seeing any yet that said SH, which is interesting. Because if anyone here believes that they speak British English, but says it SK, you're doing the American one. So it's schedule in the UK, schedule in the US. However, as has been made very clear to me by my father, plenty of people in the UK have ended up saying schedule rather than schedule because of American influence. Fun fact. Less fun fact, this really irritates my dad enough to have made a serious point about it when I was a kid growing up. A kid who listens to his dad and learns from his dad, and dad says this is something to call out at every opportunity and tell people that they're doing it wrong and to stop being so American. Yes, that is a lesson that earns you many friends as an obnoxious young kid. So yeah. You always just use Wukong for this room? Yeah, I'm doing it the proper way because I can then also check the rooms for medallions. Normally I would just blunder my way through this.
The reactor is going into stasis. Now is your chance to complete this sabotage. Use whatever you can to make sure it never works again.
How close to that?
A
3
coolant
minutes.
cell has been extracted.
No bueno. Oh, it's not this one. It's the Corpus one. You have to go to the other side. God damn it.
Fuel cell
But not even the map is consistent.
The reactor is restarted. This will trigger a meltdown.
Oops. Oh, for God's sake.
Destroy the fuel injectors.
There we are. Fuel injectors destroyed, Latus. You're very welcome.
A blast
Where's my
door is
next thing to pick up?
evacuate
This way.
out. Find a way to open it.
But that sounds cool. But that is cool. Except when he isn't. Which is every dad ever, I think. Wow. Every good dad. Why don't I always just use ciphers? Because I like playing the game. That is the very simple answer on that one. Oh, we got a thingy. Yay! Still only on 3, oh my. What does my dad do? Teacher? He was never strictly a teacher, but he has done teaching of the sort in the past, yes. I won't go into much detail there for non-doxing reasons, but yes. I guess the apple doesn't fall far from the tree on that one. I do a teaching of a sort as well, don't I? I teach you how to murder things more effectively in a video game. It's, I'm fairly certain he's proud of me. Fairly certain. Oh, there is something out this way. We aren't on a wild goose chase. This is extraction. Wait, how have I got to extraction? Huh? Huh. Yeah. I'm just too good. Just too good, apparently. Or maybe, yeah, the Grenadier too bad. That blast door didn't even close. Got stuck. Yeah, you're right. Let's go find that blast door. Also, I've not even found what I've been looking for going this way, but there is something this way. For God's sake, let's just drop that. Well, it picked up one of them. That's painful. And there's not one out here. That's double painful. Where are they all hiding? Now they activate a lockdown. Yeah, I'm gonna cipher that one. That's one more. We've got 2 more to find. That's painful. Let's see, which way? Oh. Oh. Balls to it. Gonna assume this way. Please keep spawning enemies. I need them for my ability. There's a thing. Oh, not the thing I'm looking for. Alright, which way from here? Still this way. Oh shit. Here? Nope. Is it over here? Nope. Nope. We checked all of that lot, so it's not any of those. So that means it's going to be further this way? Oh, bollocks. Nope, wait, no, 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 nope. Never mind. Okay, so that narrows it down. Is it really high? Well, it should be popping up on my radar even then. Nothing. Have I done ETA and EDA this week? I have not. They were getting frustrating, so I have not. It's a good thing there's no timer on this whole explosion, isn't it? Pointing out this way, but where? Oh, wait. Nope. Where? Still this way. Okay. Let's check down the end. Oh god, are we going all the way back to the start? Near enough. I'm gonna miss some things in this room, haven't I? Not here. Man, I am doing a terrible job of finding these things today. Any suggestion on what Incarns to get this week other than Dread? I haven't memorized which Incarns they are, sorry. What are the options you're picking between? This is a whole area I haven't explored. Oops. Stalker, Cyber, Zylok. Dread, and... okay. Ooh. I'll be honest, I don't feel amazing about much of those. Yeah, probably Dread Hate. Probably Dread Hate will be the go-tos on that. All of this lot, right at the start. 8 of 8, there we go. I am 500 meters from extraction. Wait, no, correction. I am 900 meters from extraction. I swear that number said 500. Well, whatever. 900 feels more correct. I've got no enemies to shoot at me, which means I can't trigger my arcane. Actually, would this trigger it? Oh, need to actually... nope, that has not triggered it. What arcane is it? The arcane that gives you parkour velocity when you take damage. I forget the name of it right now. It's not Arcane Consequence, that's the when you headshot one. So it's the other one. Agility, thank you. No, that's a waste of a file rush. There we are. Yeah, I could have gone better.
Complete. Excellent work, Tenno.
But hey, picked up a whole bunch of datums. Getting standing is all good. Let's see then. Now, if I do the Steel Meridian ones, let me just check. Who's that gonna hurt my standing with, if anyone? Hurts with Loka and Perrin. Okay, yeah, no, they're safe to do as well. I didn't think so, I was just double checking. But first, an interception. Now this one again is a higher standing one. We got 5-ish K versus 3K for the Exterminate. So, let's see if it spawns in medallions on this one.
What an interesting place. I appreciate you doing this task for me.
There we go, it just gets me to the
These
top a little
radio
quicker.
towers carry top secret interplanetary communications.
I probably should have tried Golden Instinct first. Yeah, area is barren.
And decode incoming messages.
So I am correct, normally.
For incoming support.
This one has higher standing. Oh wow, I got yeeted. This one has higher standing, and as a result, we can see there's no pickups. Or rather, it's the other way around. There's no pickup, so it's higher standing. That other interception was a fluke. That was weird.
This tower is ours now.
Grab the next tower. Eh. Take out that thing. There we go.
Tower captured. Beginning stream decode now.
Damn it, that Xmas didn't die. It must have been just at the edge of the explosion. Can you replace the helmet on heirloom skins? I think you can. Helmets are usually switchable. Nope, no, 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 no. There we are, got it. According to Wiki, defense inception of 0 to 2 medallions. Previous inception just weird. Yeah, it was very weird. I'll be honest, I don't recall seeing a mission with just 2 medallions neither. So, from my understanding, it's meant to be all or nothing. Oh wait, hang on. How you capturing the tower so quickly? Solo. Maybe they did usually do 0 to 2, and I've just usually seen it as 0. But then, if they spawned 1 or 2 previously, since D changed the mechanics of medallion spawns to make it where when there's medallions, you're guaranteed to get 1 top tier, 2 mid tiers, and then the 5 are random, usually lower tiers. Maybe that change made it where the 0 to 2 spawns became either 0 or 8, adding the 8s to those missions that couldn't happen before. Maybe that's it. So, in a sense, it could be that it was 0 to 2 before, usually 0 but a chance of 1 or 2, but now whenever you roll that chance, you actually just roll 8. That's a very possible consequence of the way these kinds of game logics can come together. Curious. But that is just a hypothesis. Hello, Caldade. I'm doing alright. I am doing well. Hope you're doing well yourself. Get blapped. Oh, this weapon is so satisfying on these kind of levels. You get to later ones, you have to wait for the slash block to kill them or something like that, and they just then slowly fall over. But you're at the level where you can just yeet. Oh. Blah. Very much so. Although that one got Verglast. Enemies that get Verglast do not yeet anywhere near as well. And that's round 1 just about done. Let's start on round 2.
The message. The remaining enemies must not report back to their command. Eliminate everyone. I have detected another message incoming. Capture and decode the signal.
That specific style set always spawns centiweight medallions, as Corpus Defense doesn't have an elevator. It can spawn 2 and 3. One of them is usually bugged. Oh, fair enough. But the more you know, there's just some tiles being weird.
This tower is ours now.
Man, they're really just flexing on me with those jumps themselves, aren't they?
You have captured a radio tower.
D is under attack. That did not fix it. Try again. There we go. That fixed it.
We are in total control.
I must protect these consoles. Fires a missile at them. Gotta go enjoy indestructible terrain, eh? Imagine how fucked we'd be if we could end up destroying all the terrain and objectives ourselves. Do not place that grenade there. It's so close to the console. Bam. Just nukes half the map anyway. It's metal. You can't just blow up metal. You can't just blow up metal, can't you? Yes. Sure. Tell me, what material usually surrounds nukes? Is it plastic? Paper? Glass? No, I'm kind of glad that we don't have to worry about the placement of our AoEs. We can just liberally obliterate. That's what we're here for in Warframe. We're here for this arcadey experience. What material is the core of a nuke made of? Fair point, yep. The metal does obliterate itself. When you think about it, nuclear material is still the closest thing we have to magic. Aside from computers. Second closest thing. Computers are wizard magic, and nuclear material, that's sorcerer magic. Because you want to tell me, there's this rock that looks just like a rock, that might have an eerie glow if you know what you're looking for, if you've studied it and have the right conditions. But mostly, it is just a rock. But this rock, if you're in close proximity, it'll cause grave diseases. It will mutate your very body. But appropriately manipulated, can power an entire city? A rock. A rock does that. It just carries curses, natural curses, that can be turned into power? Bullshit. When you think about it, it sounds so arcane, so magical. But it turns out it is just quite literally just part of real life. It's just physics. And it glows? Yeah. And then when you get to Cherenkov radiation, when you learn that light travels only so fast and nothing can travel faster than light, and then you discover that something that wasn't traveling faster than light enters somewhere else where the speed it's going at is faster than light, and therefore it has to slow down so it's no longer faster than light, giving off light in the process, which flexes by going at the speed of light. Just little details like that. You're like, is physics just fucking with us? It sometimes feels like it is just messing with you. You know, when the ADHD math stream becomes ADHD geology stream. Okay, if you want it to be geology, there was one I came across the other day. Shit, did I save that somewhere? Hold on. Did I save this one? This was dramatic. Checking all my saved videos. It's not there. Oh, come on. Tell me I did actually save this one. No, that's the politics folder. Nope. I have to find this, because this one was dramatic. And very geology. No, don't resist me, computer. When I say to do something, you do it. There it is. Let's grab this into a safe little tab like that. Alright then. Found it. Found it. Interesting, cool little bit of geology. I mean, this is just looking at the geology rather than understanding what goes on. We can talk about it if it needs to be, but let us just switch to observe the mildly terrifying geology moment. This is just a bit of CCTV footage in, I think it was Myanmar? Yeah, Myanmar. Just a little bit of CCTV footage. Nothing too crazy, right? Nothing to worry oneself with. Just looking out across nice, lovely, dry area. Please don't mind the shaking. I'm sure nothing is going wrong whatsoever. And oh dear lord, the entire right side just moved. You catch that? There's before. There's after. Before. After. The entire right-hand side moves. Yeah, that's an earthquake. That is a earthquake very literally shifting the earth. It is a strike-slip fault where two bits go side by side. Either one of them is moving that way or one of them is moving that way. It's probably the right-hand side coming that way, judging by what's going on, but yeah. You feel like it's more the soil moving? It's the ground. That's not just the very top surface, Ladybug. That's the ground going chonk. So, yeah. Yeah, that's not just a little bit of soil deciding to slip. That's not a landslide. Because it stops again just as neatly. You can see how it goes, it's there, shunt, and then stops again. Landslides don't do that. They don't make just a very gentle little shift and stop. Certainly not on a slope of that gentle gradient. So yeah. That is that is earthquake. The power tower in the background. Oh yeah. The more you watch that, the more you find things that just goes ah shit and collapses. Terrifying. Where did I find this footage? I found this on Reddit. I'll pop the link in the chat here. Just found that on Reddit. So yeah, you mentioned about the whole detouring for cool geology stuff. There's your one. There's your one for today. I think that is a well-deserved bit of geology appreciation. Of course it's Reddit. Of course it's Reddit. Of course it is. Alright, let's continue with these. Defense mission, if you insist. Yeah, now try and imagine in your head for a moment. Try and imagine how much effort it would take to move everything you saw move there that distance. Don't think about how much effort it takes to move it safely and at the same time. That's not important. Just think about the sheer amount of effort to simply just move that amount of stuff. All that soil, all those structures, the roads, the rock below the soil, everything all the way down throughout the entire rest of that part of the plate. It's probably atomic bomb level. That's beyond atomic bomb level. Genuinely beyond. Man hath not the power for that kind of a shift.
We are readying reinforcements. Keep fighting.
No medallions, this is just a defense. I don't know what the full energy output was of that particular earthquake. I've never memorized the particular scale as how it relates to atomic bomb power, believe it or not. But you can look up the... Yeah, follow the link, find out just how big of a quake it was, and look that up in terms of the table as to how much energy that represents. And then just compare that to nukes. Google is there to help you out on that information, absolutely. But suffice to say, it's a fuck ton. Geology Adjacent says, Azrael, did you see that CERN showed alchemy's dream of turning lead into gold can happen? Just need to blast off 3 neutrons. I had heard something about that, yes. I didn't look any further into it. Because, yeah, things turning into other things is a relatively known process in terms of physics that way, but it's still cool to know that they did it. Yes. There's a 7.7 earthquake. That's not small. That is not small. Tectonic plates moving and not to be messed with. I mean, it's kind of hard to mess with. If the plate wants to move, it's moving. You bear in mind that we are dust on the skin that is formed around this molten glob we call the Earth. And the Earth is by and large a semi-molten or truly molten glob. We really are just the dust on the crust. So when the crust decides to move, we're going with it. Whichever direction it picks. If anyone has a sense of existential dread from that, worry ye not. For it means that the grandest of failures one could possibly commit are only to shuffle dust. And when the stakes are so low, take that, if nothing else, as inspiration. Be the awesome little bit of dust you can be. Blap. Also, dust can go blap, and that's fun. You live in constant existential dread, this is nothing new? Well, fair enough, you know, that's a mood right there. That's a mood. Stardust to say? I mean, we're all Stardust, yes. I've met some people who probably wouldn't qualify, but the majority of us, yes. There are some who would maybe pass as dirt dust. That kind of weird radiation that falls off of decaying black holes. Dust. Dust. Not many people. There's a few that qualify. You think dirt dust is just called dirt? No. There's dirt. There's dirt. Dirt has value. Yeah, you can grow crops in dirt. You have beautiful flowers in dirt. Good quality dirt. Dirt has value. But dirt dust? That's just the grime that gets on your fingers and dries off after you've done some gardening. There ain't no value in that dust. That's just mess.
That's the last of them.
So all is good dirt? Yeah.
Secure. Let's go home.
There we go. Another mission down. Where's this conversation going? Everywhere. A bunch of chemistry tables only formed in stars. We're literally made out of bits of dead stars. Yeah, that's definitely what we're referencing. Believe you me, the regulars here are very aware of that. I may have brought it up a time or two.
Okay, Tano?
Alright, let's get on with another interception. God, they really had a few of these this round, didn't they?
These radio towers carry top secret interplanetary communications. You are going to capture the towers and decode incoming messages.
You know that in this society you could just walk into a place and buy a bag of dirt? I mean, granted, you're typically buying compost, which is a step above dirt. It's in fact seriously rotted food. You can go to a place that sells healthy food and gets in trouble if they sell potentially still healthy food too late. But they also are allowed to sell you extremely expired food. Fresh food? Fine. Expired beyond recognition food? Also fine. Food that is still recognizable but might be expired? That's a problem.
Tower captured. Beginning stream decode.
To reduce it to absurdity.
Tower lost.
You used to live in Vermont, you had a compass pile in the backyard? In the backyard? Yeah, fair dude. Yeah, house I
Tower
spent most of my childhood years in. We had a compost pile as well. Well, compost bin. Don't want to leave it just out in a pile for us. Not enough garden space to risk that. But yeah. Isn't compost mostly dead leaves and animal poop? Depends what you make it from. Quite literally, it's made from what you make it from. If you want a compost pile that is mostly composed of used tea bags and marigolds, you can. There's nothing stopping you. Yeah, I also say made compost out of eggshells, coffee grinds, spoiled vegetables, tea bags. Yeah. Tea bags break down? The correct tea bags break down. There was quite a while where tea bags moved from being entirely biodegradable to having plastic in them, because plastic-lined tea bags are more resilient, less likely to split, and so people were happy with the quality. But there has been pushback against that. So do make sure that if you are trying to compost tea bags, the source of them ensures they are actually compostable. You don't want plastic tea bags in your compost. You don't want plastic tea bags in general, actually. You know, you should probably boycott that. We don't need plastic tea bags. So, you know, yeah. Plastic in hot water, it's more likely than you think. But yeah, they're a combination of, I think, slightly cheaper to make and more resilient. Because, of course, plastic doesn't like to biodegrade. Plastic likes to stay forever. Yay! But it doesn't stay intact forever. No, it just stays a problem forever. It's the worst of both worlds. The tea you get comes with little cheesecloth pyramids. Fair do. Make sure it is actually cloth before you compost it. Ellie saying the worst issues with rupturing tea bags was due to overtuned glue that holds the string and tag tucked into the bag. See, I've basically never purchased tea bags that have a string and tag. It would just be tea and bag. I don't need labels on each individual tea bag telling me which company made the tea bag. I'm perfectly fine with just making the tea. There we are, next round. Does chai count as tea in the UK? I mean, I think people usually refer to it as chai tea, which I know what it means, I know. I know. Yeah, I guess. It's a different type of tea, but it's still tea. How my Instagram followers be able to see me flexing drinking tea? Instagram. Yeah, I definitely use that. Yeah. Yes. I am aware of the appeal of Instagram. Can't say it's ever grabbed me. Can't say it's ever grabbed me. But hey, I usually more of a either can I do something with this hobby, so be it, you know, some kind of gaming or whatnot, be it gardening, or a hobby of at least this is properly put together. An Instagram feed has never looked put together. It's looked like an absolute collection of distraction. That's just never appealed to me. The point is more about you being able to pull out the tea bag without using a spoon, but I'm going to use a spoon to stir the tea. Why would I not just use a spoon to take out the tea bag as well? I'm going to be stirring it. I have a teaspoon. I have multiple teaspoons, in fact. They're not hard to come by. This is not a rare item. Let's say also the way Meta uses data is absolutely horrid. Oh, what large company doesn't use them in a horrid way? Let's be real. What company doesn't? The only companies that aren't using your data in some horrid way are either too small to get the value out of it, or they're too inept to get the value out of it. The rest of them, yeah, absolutely they'll do it. You try and get the average person to care about their data, they'll be like, oh my god, someone might know my address. It's like, that's not the concern here, Margaret. You tell everyone with a pulse on the telephone what your address is. That's not the concern here. If you connect to the internet, someone's using it regardless. Yeah, the data is out there. At least when I've asked Google for what kind of profile it has on me, for example, assuming it's being honest, the information is put back has made me fairly certain that it doesn't actually have a good enough idea. But honestly, just like the whole data side of things, tracking is a problem. But aggregate data, it's going to be there anyway. Turns out people are predictable. If you do a few things, people can start predicting things off of those few things. Just how it be. If you don't want data to be used, live in a forest without any tech? Pretty much.
We have decoded the message. The remaining enemies must not report back to their command. Eliminate everyone.
In fact, what data are most people concerned about? When we talk about the data that Meta uses, the data that Google uses, what data are most people concerned about?
Good work today. Not only have we decoded the enemy transmissions, we have also
Just so I understand where people's concerns lie. Don't get me wrong, I have no interest in pretty much any Meta product. I try to avoid much of it, but... Location, browsing habits, and spending. Yeah. Now when you're spending, the companies that you're buying from know that you're buying from them. Or at the very least, they know that someone is buying from them, but usually you give details along with that says, hey, this is me, can you send it to me? It kind of gives it away. Browsing habits, that's going to come down to browser. If there's other cookies tracking it, that does get problematic very quickly. And I agree on that. And then location, it depends on what kind of location information is being given. If the location is your city, hurrah, someone in your city looked at something on the internet. Yeah. Now the biggest side of data, the social media groups and whatnot, it's not so much the acquisition of the data, it's the application of their sheer scale to tip opinions. That you end up with certain things amplified and certain things quieted down. It gets very dark very quickly. Skirting the edge of politics with that, which I don't want to get into, I'll be quite honest. Going back to Warframe, from Blind Guy Playing saying, I'm going to admit, this whole debate about Valkyrie's rework feels like it goes over my head. But when I see post after post after post complaints that boil down to she isn't invincible anymore nerve, shorts my mind out. It's harder for me to see the constructive discussion. None of them feel like miss most of the subtlety. Have you seen my video, Blind Guy? Because that's specifically why I give my own opinion in a constructed video. So that you can have something rather than Reddit posts to read. Just a thought.
Prepare for incoming support.
Ooh, 4 pings and all ahead of me. Love it. Let's grab these. About to be into politics, this part of my identity that exists online, people who have or had power over me would not appreciate me having. Yeah, unfortunately that is going to be people in general. And that's what it usually comes down to is, can we just keep individuals away from snooping. It's not the big data groups, as it were, it's individuals. Powerful or otherwise. That's the biggest side of the data I've noticed that people become concerned about. Whether it be institutional level problems, still directed by individuals. I really should be killing more, not just running past them. This is an exterminate mission. Oopsies. I'm not just here for the loot, I promise. I am good Tenno. I do objective. See? They're all dying. Not seen that video. Also so many pings, all of them in the direction you're walking. Yeah, but I still need to kill stuff. Alright, this way. Just verify there's not anything else, but yeah, it is definitely still this way. I know that there's a red marker behind me, can't be bothered. They can catch up.
Stay focused. There's a heavy unit approaching. Walkers incoming.
As I stated in the video, just to put it simply, moving away from indefinite immortality I think is a good thing. I didn't go into people's harebrained ideas as to how to address that, because, let's face it, I don't want to give that much of a platform to every harebrained idea out there. Harebrained ideas, as I'm referring to them, includes health gating. It is concerning to me the number of people that seem to think that the way to make health tank better is to simply make it immortal. Like, that's not health tanking. That's just immortality again. That's not having enough hit points to survive the damage. That's just telling the damage it's not allowed to happen. Health gating, how does that work? So some people will be suggesting things like every time you hit 1,000 health, or a multiple of 1,000 health, any more damage past that point would stop for a moment. Or maybe make it based on armor, so some people would say for every 300 or 500 or whatever number armor, you gain another bar of health gate, so your health is split into portions. And all kinds of other variations thereof. And it's all just immortality. It's all just redefining hit points. And it also, again, ignores any kind of scaling. If a health gate exists and you can restore that health gate enough to keep on going, that you can rely on the health gate as a core part of your tank, you aren't worrying about the level of mission anymore. As soon as you don't have to worry about the level of mission levels have stopped making sense, D can no longer challenge your health without taking away the very health gain one is relying on. If Ken mentions deferment, no, I don't recognize that word. Not in this context. You dislike Rev's response on the dev shore? I disliked it as well, yes. It could be a miscommunication, which again, D are very well known for. As some people have pointed out, it could be they were just referring to it being a useful option, and that you can gain it back quickly enough that so long as you are actively playing, you have that useful option enough. But that's not how it came across. The indication, she said quite clearly that you'll have the immortality, you'll have the immortality, you'll have the immortality. Someone who's thinking it's going to be a plan B backup option that allows you to sustain doesn't refer to it in such a triple hammer format. Have I got all the medallions? I really have not. Oh shit. How badly have I missed it this time? At this point, just make a mod that gives you immortality. They did. It's called Rolling Guard. It has a cooldown because you're not supposed to rely on it. It's supposed to be an interactive, active immortality at choice moments. Not your main tanking method. That's what the core of immortality comes down to. Immortality should be the backup plan, not the plan. If it's the plan, all difficulty is gone. All measure of level scaling is gone. That can't be it. It just ends any conversation around tanking. Says, just do this, you can never die. And granted, health tanking done right in most missions is functionally a do this, you can never die, but there is that caveat, you can never die up to this level. And then you reach a point where you can die if you're careless. And then the next point is you can die pretty frequently. And the next level after that is you're probably just going to die in general, mate. You ain't tanky enough now.
Prepare for incoming support.
What do I think of an idea where armor above 3000 acts as another layer of armor damage reduction? I don't know what you actually mean by that, sorry, do we? I don't know what mechanic you're referring to there, what that would actually look like. Armor above 3000 gives you more damage reduction as a fact already, because more armor, more damage reduction. That's just how it works. So what mechanic are you actually referencing? Like I said, just know I'm not smart enough to have an answer here. That's fair enough. It's like I don't comment on the capture changes because I'm not a capture artist. I'm not going to guess power procs. I want them to tell me. 3000 gives 90% reduction. DR, well, actually gives slightly more than that. 2700 gives 90%, just FYI. Any more start skinning again from 0. Okay, wait. Start skinning again from 0. So you're saying to make every 3000 or every 90% amount of damage reduction be multiplicative with itself? So that when you hit a breakpoint, you suddenly have a whole bunch more damage reduction again because it's recalculated. That sounds like a really convoluted way of doing it. Like, what's that supposed to actually fix? As opposed to just giving us the ability to apply more armor. Like, it's already slightly weird and unintuitive to new players that they get this 300 armor and need to know how that actually functions as damage reduction, because the way that it is created as an equation. But then you want to add in breakpoints for super armor? That feels like a very convoluted fix. You feel like DE dug themselves a hole when it comes to survivability? I disagree. I genuinely disagree. The immortality side of things, yeah, that's a problem. Because again, you can't challenge it. It's finished. Those are the levels you get. There is something here. Where is it? Was it in here? Ah, found you. So here's the thing. There are very clearly defined numbers for level scaling for damage. We know this. I verified what was on the wiki before I mentioned it in my video. And that is, for the majority of enemies, a simple scaling, once you're into high enough levels, of 1 plus 0.0075 multiplied by their level minus their base level raised to the power of 1.55. And what this functionally comes down to is that the 1 plus doesn't really matter at higher levels. So it's pretty much just a case of some multiplier added on, multiplied into their level raised to the power of 1.55. That's why I was able to say that a 60% increase in levels is a 100% increase in damage. That's just how the equation works. It's why I was able to say that going from level 150... Oh, we done? Oh, shit. Sweet, I didn't notice. Going from level 150 to level 500 is a roughly 6-ish fold increase in damage incoming. And tank just needs to scale accordingly. But not just the tank. Give us the means to get the tank. Rock instrumental, so Queen, you can't pick EDM. We don't actually have an EDM option anymore. I took that out. But also secret menu one. There you go. I'll switch to music in a moment. As I pointed out in the video, isn't it weird that one of the most important mods in Warframe modding, and in fact a whole collection of some of the most important mods in Warframe modding, you obtain from Deimos normal mode? Sure, you have to get hold of the dragon keys and actually do the work, but it is obtainable Deimos normal mode. It just... That's where some of the very best mods are. You look at the Archon mods in comparison. The 5 Archon mods that came out. We had Archon Vitality, which is normal Vitality, but with a not Vitality perk added on, which is both written incorrectly and applies to very specific setups. We have Archon Continuity, which is just Prime Continuity, with a token Toxin to Corrosive bonus added in. We have Archon Stretch, which is, hey, are you using a very specific damage type in a very specific way? Here's a little bit of energy. We have, what was it? Archon... Yeah, I'm trying to remember the other ones. They're that unimpressive to me overall. There's Archon Flow, which, whilst being a prime flow, also gives you, hey, did you kill with cold ability damage? Here's a chance of a cooldown locked energy orb drop. What? And I'm genuinely forgetting the other Archon mod right now. You compare that to the corrupted mods, for the significance they have in our builds. Everything from the weapon corrupted mods, which are usually the critical mods that we care about, but historically we also cared about the damage mods. Oh, Archon Intensify, thank you, yeah. That absolutely weird one, to be quite honest. So we got the critical mods on our primary, secondary weapons, and on our shotguns, but most crucially are the Warframe ones. The corrupted Warframe mods are absolute staples. I got one right there, 2 of them right there, in fact, for this particular build. Whereas the Archon mod is only there because, feck it, why not? It's just prime continuity with an extra bonus. If Lavos didn't do Toxin procs, this would be literally pointless compared to just prime continuity. So the only value it'd have is you don't have to wait for Barrow or trade, which is just underwhelming. These tank mods here you get halfway through the star chart. Actually, one of these isn't even a tank mod, it just happens to buff them. This one, at least you have to get to arbitrations, and I'm not gonna downgrade its value on account of it arbitrations moving to the Arish Junction, but it's more, it is further into the game, but still it stops then. Think about it, what tank options have we gained? What tank options have we gained since the release of what's it, Netrocells? Since the Netrocells were made a thing, not just Deep Archimedia and Temporal or Archimedia, since the release of Netrocells, what tank options have we gained? Arcane Blessing? That was before it. And Arcane Blessing barely improves your tank. It improves your maximum hit points, allowing you to take heavier hits, but it doesn't improve how well you actually sustain against incoming damage. It just increases the threshold at which you would get either one shot or rapid shot. More ways to generate overguards. That's more abilities, more new frames. I suppose there was secondary fortifier, which isn't a health tank, by the way. It just creates a whole new layer of defense, which also got a gate added to it. There was, I think, one of the arcanes that came out with Netrocells. 1 or 2 of them down there that's maybe relevant, because there's melee fortification, but even that is pretty damn niche. That's pretty damn niche. when it comes to tanking options, we don't seem to be picking up all that many. Anything can be a tank with cast iron shields and shield recharge rate. I did shield tank Lavos for the Apex tank, so yes, you're correct there, Life Guides. You are correct. And that is part of the problem, because that's just, again, another form of immortality. I defeated it with immortality, rather than using the tank that Lavos has and tries to bring. So, where's the next step? It can't be another thing that goes alongside stuff. This is what I was saying on the previous stream. It can't be stuff that goes alongside. I don't want to have to put in yet another mod over here, and here, and here, and here, to add alongside the tank. They need to be upgrades. My mod slots and arcane slots are filled. Give me a step up. And whilst those forms of immortality, especially things like Revenant, Rhino, Nyx Assimilate, shield gating on almost every frame that isn't Lavos, whilst those forms of indefinite immortality, level agnostic immortality exist, health tanks are just going to be inferior at the very high levels until they're given those better upgrades. Knife Guys saying, technically Arcane Eruption is really powerful since it's 30 meters knockdown without LOS, although X must exist. Yeah, on the one hand, there is the knockdown immunity or status immunity, which I'm glad you point out straight away there. Second, that's a control rather than a tank. Black Guy playing, say, post Netracell blue shards for health and armor. I'm fairly certain Archons came out before Netracells. Fairly certain they came out before. So even that doesn't count. And they are either max health, which does not give you healing, a really poor amount of healing, like genuinely poor amount, 5 health per second, or a flat armor value. A flat armor value which is better for those who have less armor. It has blast tanking, regenerate shields when you kill an enemy with blast damage. So that's just giving you more shields, and if you have shields, you have immortality, technically. But yeah, you're right, Topaz Shards does allow for a slight addition to shield tanking. It's a very slight one though. 25 hit points per kill is a tough one to make work there. Max health one? That's not tanking though. That doesn't give you any realistic tank. Gain 1 health per enemy killed with blast damage, max 300. That's increasing your max health. That's increasing your effective hit points, sure. First of all, it's not going to do a lot for already tanky frames there. But most notably, that doesn't allow you to heal more. What would I suppose they do? New replacement mods that we can invest into. These came from a quest where the weapon that came from there has already well and truly fallen off. This comes from arbitrations, which, fair enough, it does a lot of work. These, they come from bloody Deimos. This just comes from a, from the, Syndicate shops. And this is basically just a prime mod with a coat of paint on it. Where's my next step in upgrades? This is only 80% stronger than normal vitality. This is only 80% stronger than normal fiber. Whereas the difference in damage from level 150 to 500, that's standard steel path to EDA, ETA level, is an over 6-fold increase in damage. This has got nothing on that. Can I say maybe we don't need an armor rework, but an enemy damage scaling rework? Oh, no. That misunderstands the situation. That misunderstands it. So let me put it this way, Callie. Do you feel the enemy damage scaling needs to be brought down so that you are allowed to hit higher levels? Just that particular word. So that you're allowed to hit higher levels. Do you think enemy damage scaling should be brought down so that you're allowed to fight higher levels? Is that the way you see it? I'm gonna tear this argument apart for a moment, but I'm gonna do it piece by piece in case I'm missing a detail. Also, there was the request for a change of music. I should really implement that. There we go. Alsu, cheers. Is this just for Lavos or tanking in general? Hit point tanks in general. Kind of saying kinda. Has to be a trade-off with heavier enemy health scaling. You say has to. Enemy health scaling already curves off. They actually reduced that because people complained about it. But yeah, I agree with Electrode. Gear progression is a cool way to do it. Here's my perspective on it. Enemies have level scaling. Level scaling gives us a simple set of rules. Just that, just a simple set of rules. It doesn't need some grand overhaul or tweaking. We already have a curve of damage. So wherever we want that damage to be, if we were the developers, we would just set the enemy to that level for that damage output we want them to have. So I want enemies to do twice as much damage as they do on standard steel path. Alright, so we plug those numbers in. Where do we get twice as much damage? Well, I actually know the number. It's 60% higher, so level 150 times 1.6, it'll be level 240. Just like that. There we go. Got the information. So, if we can just pick, or if DE can just pick the level that a mission happens at, then it's not a matter of the level scaling equation is out of whack. It's a matter of they've chosen the level, they've chosen the difficulty, they've said, players, deal with this amount of damage. And that in itself is fine. Every game does this. They decide from testing and designing, redesigning after their testing, they bring it all together and they go, this is the amount of damage you're going to be dealing with. In single player games, you get to sliding scale that. You get to increase or reduce the difficulty to your taste. So people already just change the level of gameplay they want to be comfortable with. But in a multiplayer game like this, where there's trading, where there's stakes and whatnot, at least to some extent, we all just have to deal with the same difficulty setting. So it's not that the level scaling equation is wrong. I've got no issue with it. Absolutely none. But when we're given that level to deal with, and that level is objectively X times harder than previous content we've had to deal with, the question then comes, okay, are we going to get the appropriate benefits, the appropriate options to work with that? If we still had the same builds now that we had on our weapons in 2020, we would struggle with a variety of the content that has come out now. We would seriously struggle if we were still dealing with the same options today as we had then. But we don't. Our weapons are stronger, our mods are stronger, our options in general are just more powerful. And it's not because of a generalized power creep. Power creep would apply if we were getting those on Jupiter. If we were getting those just as we're making our way through the star chart, but we're not. The game has progressed, the stakes have gone higher, the levels have gone higher, and the rewards have gone higher as a result. We've gained the Galvanized mods at Arbitrations. We've then gained in Steel Path the Steel Path Arcanes and the primary and secondary adapters. With Whispers in the Walls and the access to the labs, we've gained the Melee Arcanes and the Melee adapters. As we go further, we should get access to more rewards, stronger rewards, replacing the old ones, just like any other level scaling MMO does. The power creep isn't so much a creep in terms of this is just objectively better for the same location. It is a new location you're incentivized to go towards. As I'll say, for a game like this to not ramp up the power both sides eventually is a game that hasn't had an update to 10 years. Exactly, Zom, yeah. It's just the nature of the game, of an MMO, that it's live service like this. There constantly needs to be something newer, bigger, higher, and then the rewards newer, bigger, higher. Imagine if damage attenuation was a mod. Oh, but Ken, it stops at 90%. Yes, they chose to stop it at 90%. What if it went further? Supreme adaptation. Instead of plus 10% resistance to damage type per stack, it was times 50% every single time you took a hit. And had decaying stacks off the back of it as well. That would be crazy strong. The first time you got hit, you now halve the damage of the next one. And then quarter, then 8th, 16th, 32, 64. Wouldn't take long for you to well exceed the 90% of that. Which is a form of damage attenuation. Yeah. The only segment saying, what does replacing these mods look like for people who already put Umbral Form into their builds? Oh, that's a brilliant question. I actually love that question. I love that question, especially as someone sat here with Umbrals. There's worse on you, really. I absolutely love that question. And you know why? Because Umbral Former are also a problem. It's not something that needs to be accommodated, it's something that needs to be addressed. That we have these limited, hard to get hold of formers that are there specifically for 3 mods in the entire game, or 5 if you want to count melees as well, but we're looking at the frame right now. 3 mods. 3 mods that you get halfway around the star chart. And they're not even universal. We have Omniformer, and in the process they went Omnibutt. Rather than making these the Omnis, they made Omnibutt formers. I probably should just start referring to them as that, actually. I could make a point of it. The Omnibutt former. It's an easy thing to fix if they decide to. Exactly. Exactly. So if we had replacement mods for these and people go, oh, but what about the Umbral slots? Yeah. They shouldn't be this restrictive health side that they are. They shouldn't be this restricted. It is a relic of the past, as it were, of when Warframe was just, frankly, a little bit more ridiculous in terms of going, no, stop having that fun. Don't do it that way. If D really don't want Omnis to allow Umbrals to match, and again, why? Then make these ones just super Omnis, or make it where Umbral and Omni were just the same thing in the first place. Although they've already broken that one, I'll be honest, so yeah. You've only re-downloaded the game 4 hours ago after a few years in activity. Tell me those red mods are new. They're not that new. They're not that new. They are a couple years old now, yeah. Cat Centaur saying, biggest gripe of health tanking is the investment required of having to use Umbrals. I mean, you don't have to use Umbrals, but they do help a lot, yes. They do help a lot. Some people wonder why I use full Umbral on Lavos when there are other options, and it's because this does give double EHP, and due to the way Arcane Grace scales on max health, it means I also get double effective regen from that Arcane. So that's why I do go full Umbral. It is one of the few instances where max EHP also affects the ability to tank, and that is because of a percent-based heal. Most heals aren't percent-based, at least percent of max, and so most of them don't care as much for EHP like that. And this EHP has saved me. If you ever see me as Lavos with less than 1000 health, ever less than 1000, the Umbral set has saved me. Whatever you think of the Umbral set, whatever you think of adaptation, whatever you think of Arcane Grace, of everything else coming together, if you ever see my Lavos with less than 1000 health, the Umbral set has saved me. Simply that. It's a little bit more nuanced than that because it's got increased armor as well as health, so it might be more like 1400, but a simple line to just draw in the sand where you know for certain this is true. If I'm below 1000, the Umbral set has saved me. And that does happen. Not very often, of course, because I play a variety of levels of content, but it happens. Can I say, thinking about it more, I disagree that adaptation is a type of attenuation. Attenuation specifically takes incoming damage into account. Adaptation is same HP multiplier every time. It was an example. It caps out, but it is related to incoming damage and reacting to it. We attenuate the type of damage incoming. It is a different brand of it. I will absolutely give you that, you're right. It is a different brand of it. But then damage attenuation, as DE introduced it, has different brands of it in the first place. Damage attenuation, in many places, ignores critical hits. It used to be that with the Archons, it also ignored in-the-moment multi-shot. That is how I was able to give everyone the Archon one-shot until DE went, oh yeah, no, please don't. And they made their equation make more sense. Damage attenuation isn't a force of nature. It isn't some single hard-coded reality. It is a conscious decision that DE have made many times over, and they keep making it differently. So you're correct, adaptation is not exactly the same as damage attenuation, but it is still in the same ballpark of things of a defense that reacts to the damage incoming and the nature of it. And that's why I reference it that way. That is all of the Syndicate missions completed. I haven't even started looking at the open world stuff. Also, I probably don't need to keep this maxed out for that long, considering this is the one I am ranking up. I don't want you.
I hope these interest you.
Let's just grab one of those.
Curious.
I will get that back before the update, no sweat. Alright, let's go get some standing down here, shall we?
I see you. Let's get to work.
As I'm saying, still probably prefer shield gating, because that's just how Zom plays, and that is valid to an extent. But if we could inject Umbrals, be very glad and probably health tank a little more. I understand. How many people here... Why ask like that? Why can't I just do a poll? Let me make a quick poll before I continue with this. What?
Handy with a gun or blade? Cetus needs you. Let's talk.
Alright, there we go. Quick poll, quick poll. 1 minute poll. Were you playing when shield gating was introduced? Yes, and you remember why? Yes, but you forgot why, or no. Simple poll, out to you right there. Were you playing when shield gating was introduced? Fun fact, by the way, the answer to me is yes, and I remember why. Were you here when shield gating was introduced? I'm curious to see how this comes out here. I'm seeing a lot of no. Ooh, that's more no than I was expecting. That is a lot of no. Okay, I mean, it's been a while. When was that? 2020. I remember because it's one of my earliest, shittiest videos that is no longer live because it's so shit. You're here before and after? Fair enough. So, the majority of people watching right now were not here when Shieldgater was introduced. 68% of you that voted were not around when it was introduced. Alright, well, let me clue you in. It was not introduced to be the primary form of tanking for so many Warframes. Absolutely not. It was introduced for one simple little reason. People were getting one shot and they didn't like it. And that's fine. Honestly, that's completely valid. As higher and higher level content was being introduced, as is the way, people were entering into levels of content where, with the slightest misstep, or maybe not technically a misstep, a bullet would hit them, bam, you're dead. Just straight up, bam, you're out. Wasn't introduced as a passive on Hildren. Hildren had a form of shield gate beforehand, which was that her overshield had an overshield gate to it, yes. But that wasn't shield gate as we know it. But you're very right, it was a Hildren exclusive passive originally, in a sense. That was her way of staying up. So, this was particularly relevant at the time to invis frames, because also, as levels increased, enemy reaction time and enemy accuracy massively increased. There was basically no limit to it. That has since been limited. Which meant that if a player came out of invisibility for just a split second, the enemies would snap to them, bang, you're dead. That was it. You couldn't react in time. If you were playing as Loki, where of course your invis runs out before you can recast it, you would need to be hidden when your invis ran out so you could recast it before anyone got a glimpse of you, or you'd be obliterated. If you had very low hit points due to, say for example, the debuff that you get from the index, a single shot, you're out. Did Rolling Guard exist then? I think it existed at that point, yes. But like that, it was mandatory. And if anything, that was kind of the purpose of Rolling Guard, to cover that moment. It was a skill check. And if you had already used it up, or forgot to use it, or didn't equip it, then you missed out. So yeah. Shield gating was introduced so that players would no longer seem to get randomly one-shot out of nowhere. It was a flat 1.3 second gate, or 0.3 seconds if you hadn't yet reached full shield since your previous gate. It was as simple as that. I've come in here as Lavos. I don't want to be here as Lavos. What am I doing? It was never intended at that time to become the primary form of tanking. It was always supposed to be a backup. It was supposed to just prevent you from being absolutely one-shot, even when you had shields remaining, just out of left field. It was the line they could draw in the sand for, okay, you're not at a point where you should be dead yet. If you haven't even lost your shields, maybe you shouldn't just die yet, unless it's Toxin. That was a thing. That's not where we're at today, is it? The Augur set and Brief Respite tech that came in afterwards, well, those mods already existed, but were utilized afterwards to make a shield gate tank. I don't think D really saw that as becoming such the mainstay it is today. But it made so many frames that were squishy viable. You no longer needed to find some way to either be invisible, immortal, or tanky. There was this new option. The squishy frames could now tank in their own way. They just had to spend the energy to do it. But it has absolutely no level scaling to it. Absolutely no level scaling to it. And couple that with the, Dragon Key tech, which is now turned into the Catalyzing Shields tech. Yeah. Yeah. It has allowed a very different kind of problem to occur. Vala said, was it also so that no mitigation worked for shields? I'm not sure what you mean by that, sorry. Not sure what you mean. Great Kate Goomba saying, what do you think of a conditional mod that works off other mods, such as a Blader Plate to increase armor by 100 for every stack of adaptation? I think that's a pretty bad idea. Very sorry, but I do think that is a pretty bad idea. Because if a mod's going to be conditional like that, it should be conditional in itself. That would be either a side grade or upgrade from adaptation. A mod that requires another mod to interact with is usually going to be a very difficult mod to permit. About the closest I can think of is Coaction Drift, which is, it requires auras to interact with, but that would be about it. A former tank mod, though, is saying, hey, please put it alongside your existing ones? Not a fan. Not a fan. It's not very modular at that point. Set effects are less of a problem in that regard, but even then, how often do people equip only partial bits of a set? Because the primary effect is just so terrible that you can't justify the secondary. Yeah. Lecture's saying they could have increased the shield gate cooldown before it became meta to spam it. There's plenty of things D could have done. Whether they would be good for gameplay is a different question. A very different question. To be clear, I don't want to see the meta change to where only tanky frames can play the game. Because that would suck. You know? Sure, Saren is an absolute powerhouse of damage, and her only defense is basically Molt and the Molt Augments if you really want to go that far. But should Saren only be a frame that can be played at low levels, or if you have someone around to keep you alive? That doesn't quite sit right, does it? But then, indefinite immortality that is level agnostic also feels like an odd design position. You see where there's so many competing things running in against each other. There's no wonder we've got this whole discussion, because there's not a simple answer. There's no simple answer. And there can't be. But there are better answers than... Oh, come on, this bug? But there are better answers than what we have.
Population levels of the plains
As I'll say, theoretically energy is the knob to tweak there, but I get what you're saying, and you're right, because it's why I refer to them as energy tanks. I didn't just call them shield gates or immortals. They all fit under one bracket, which is energy tanks. But again, energy tanking is level agnostic. It doesn't cost you more energy to shield gate if you gated 1 million damage or 1 damage. Whatever you gated, same cost. Again, not too sure on which way that can be taken as healthy for the game. Nailed that.
In its prime, this one.
It all comes down to what the design that D actually wants to see us have. If the dev short has anything to go by, D might be leaning into the active immortality as just the way forwards. What that's going to look like for Rhino and Revenant, hard to say. Hell, they might stick with just Bucket, they're strong. They might just stick with that. Damn it. Missile timed out. No! Alright, that's sad. That's sad. Apollo say maybe they can make health and armor tanking scale better. Scale better how? Change the numbers so they're just stronger? Well, that just makes everything below just a cakewalk. Change it so that enemies deal less damage? Well, then what's the point of levels? Change it so that there's new upgrades for high-level content that you earn through high-level content to be able to better handle said high-level content. Well, that was exactly the suggestions I gave. Leary, thank you very much for the Prime sub there. Welcome onto the channel. Enjoy your lovely blue sub badge, your emotes, and all the other good bits and pieces that come with that. Cheers. As I'm saying, in fairness, I'm fine with Rev since his reward also feels rather low. That feels like crap to me. That feels like crap. Here is a Warframe that is so bad in the rest of his kit, we don't want to fix the glaring issue of level agnosticism. Ew. That feels like crap. Nah. There are answers, but I'm not sure that is any of them. His abilities have use cases, but they don't really go anywhere. His Reeve is just weird as fuck. Like, it does not feel like a Rev an ability that fits the rest of his kit whatsoever. Eliu, thank you very much for giving a sub over to Zomtronic. Much appreciated there. I see Zom's already said thank you on that one, so thank you very much, Eliu. Much appreciated. Where did those birds go? Did they just fly off? Oh shoot, they very literally did. I can catch them. Just gotta see them. Shit, I can't see them. Well, never mind. I lost those ones. Do I think they'll do something with Vorman before his heirloom comes out? Probably, yes. Most frames, when they get serious upgrades, cosmetically, will be assessed as well to see if they need some kind of rework to make people want to buy the new stuff. Vorman is a capable frame, but does have a lot of quirks and oddities going on with him. So Vorman could absolutely be addressed, yeah. How? Don't know, but could be addressed, yeah. It's a very tough conversation, is the whole tanking thing. Which is why, again, it should be the conversation held by the people who get paid to do it. Just saying. The players shouldn't be the ones to figure this out.
Rogues often wipe out entire colonies
But,
of Europa and even Mergu.
indefinite immortality, level agnostic immortality. And to be honest, I've used the phrase indefinite immortality, but level agnostic is by far the better term now I've been thinking about it more. Level agnostic is the real issue, because let's face it, if you have a health tank that is surviving in a mission, doesn't matter the mission, just you have the health tank that survives in a mission, are you not indefinitely immortal? Come to think of it. A health tank that can't die because it's just so tanky in that mission that that mission cannot adequately threaten a health tank. Exactly, it's Titanium, yeah. Health tanks are effectively indefinitely immortal until they're not. Absolutely correct. And you can do all kinds of things to reduce the amount of damage incoming, both just gameplay and ability-wise. Maneuvers like this right here, rather than walking up to them, is reduce the amount of damage I am taking. Prioritizing targets, using cover, using mobility, rolling, the bonus to resistances that gives you. All of that improves your ability to not get hurt. And so a health tank can be stretched further. You put in more effort against more difficult circumstances. In a Relic Fisher standard one, my Lavos will just walk through it, because it's a cakewalk. But level agnostic tanking, it doesn't matter what the mission is anymore. It doesn't matter anything other than can you maintain your level agnostic tank. And that's usually, do you still have energy? A Warframe that runs out of energy, we would usually consider just to be a bad Warframe, right?
A plains
So, yeah.
nature's janitor. Slow roasted and paired with hot chimeur is a personal favorite.
Exactly, Rabs, yeah. Hit point tanking is the only one that just kind of runs out of steam as levels go up. And that's what every other game does. Basically every single game gives you a fallible tank, where if you go too far or don't invest hard enough, you die. And Warframe has a whole bunch of others where that doesn't happen. Something I want to address actually on that. I'm gonna stand in the middle of the plains for this one because this requires full thought for a moment. Invisibility. Invisibility tanking. It's been known forever that invisibility is basically God mode on the tank department. Why have the enemies, after all these years, not figured out some kind of anti-invis tech? Not a hard counter at all times, just some kind of tech. Because they hear the shots, but they don't know where they're looking. Nullifiers? Nah, nullifiers are too broad. Nullifiers are just straight shutdown. Also, nullifiers don't work on some forms of invisibility, just putting it out there. Where's the enemy that runs up to one of those control panels and rather than setting off a lockdown, they activate the panel to prepare a scanning sweep in the nearby area? It's something difficult, it's something expensive, it's something hard for them to utilize. They need to know when it's time to use it. But they realize, oh shit, there are threats. There are specific threats that we need to deal with. Let's deal with it. And when you see them trying to deal with it, you can just interact with that. We have a new one on Eve. Hey! So, how does that work for Infested? Infested assimilate creatures all the time. Infested assimilate tech. They can assimilate a way to detect invisibility. Perhaps their solution, rather than a scanning sweep, is to send in suicide charges. Give the same notification like the Necromech spawns? Things like that, sure. When the Grenadier Cavat Lady is supposed to be anti-invis? See, I was thinking that as I was saying this, and I don't recall that ever becoming a real issue or thing, so I'm not sure. I'll be honest, I'm not sure. I think the High Echo Masters was supposed to have that, either at some point or still do. But if they do, it sure as hell doesn't come up as an issue for Invis players. And for those of you saying, oh, that they can hear us, well, this is actually, if I recall correctly, a silent rocket launcher. I'm currently equipped with a silent rocket launcher. The idea of a suicide bomber from the Infested terrifies you? Why does it terrify you? It already exists. They already have basic units which are suicide bombers. They already do it. Anyway, find some more of these. But my point is that different forms of tanking, different forms of survival, can have different forms of challenge applied to them. But currently, those challenges either don't exist or are easily avoided for everything except for health tanks. Health tanks have to give up so much to keep on scaling upwards, whereas... Oh, hi. Whereas level agnostics can just keep going. You love the Eidolon Siren? It is pretty nice, yeah. It definitely captures the atmosphere of, wait, what's happening? It's just nighttime, why is it that bad? And then out it comes, and you go, oh, it's that bad. Also, what modding have I got on this kick gun? That's doing nothing. Did I take all the mods off of this at some point? What the hell? Screw this. There we go. Sit still. Freaking, come on. I said sit still, not charge at my face. Thank you. Alright, that's that one dealt with. They are right there. Got him. Got him!
The Ashen Walker makes
Yeah.
for good eating.
Only solutions to make health tanking level agnostic? No. God, no. It's not health tanking if you don't use your hit points. To be level agnostic would have to not use your hit points. And that is pointless. So no. What would level agnostic health tank even mean? The 20,000 people on Reddit who seem to think that health gate is the answer. No. No, 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 no. That just creates more of the same. That is a lot of animals. Alright. And now that's a lot of sleeping animals. Policy, you can still use your hit points. Enemies just deal a % of health rather than what they do now. Oh, so there are no hit points. It's all % based. You just have 100 hit points where 100 is %.
Make use of them.
Full grown. Men,
Nope.
I do love Kavats. I hate what this loathsome virus makes of them. I'll be glad to cure this bow.
Get rid of them.
Them a more suitable home. A
Kitty?
juvenile.
I didn't do it. You really don't know what they could do? It's simple. Health tanking already exists. There are so many people acting like health tanking doesn't already exist. Like I am not a Lavos main who has been health tanking for years. Health tanking already exists. I'm surprised I need to shout this. There's not some magic problem that needs to be resolved through some arcane equation. We don't need to reinvent hit points. We don't need to change damage scaling to accommodate our poor little 12 hit point frames. Health tanking already exists. We can already get lots of damage reduction. We can already get lots of healing. We can already get lots of hit points. The problem is the bonuses stop. The bonuses aren't going high enough for the new levels of content that DE are actively encouraging us to do. I don't care that health tanking fails at level cap outside of extremely niche setups. That's not my concern. Level cap continues to be an extrapolation into absurdity. I have also been using that exact phrase for years. But if DE, not if, now DE have chosen that we should be going into much higher levels. The missions no longer exist in just level 150 damage, but into level 500 damage. We need to have the answers to deal with that. And I'm not saying give us those answers for free. I'm saying make us work for them. But make us work for them in replacement for the... I should be drinking. Oopsies. Make us work for them as a replacement for the old stuff. So we can still have our powers. We can still have our builds. We are higher level.
Despite our best efforts.
Let us be higher level. It's what we've been doing for years. Problem could be fixed with some funky arcanes? No! No more arcanes! We've got enough arcanes! We've got too many arcanes. We have 2 arcane slots on a Warframe. 2! How many mod slots do we have on a Warframe compared to arcane slots? Why are the answers more arcanes? Some of the most expensive things on my entire Warframe loadouts are arcanes. Where's the expensive mods to invest in? We also have way too many mods though. Define way too many. Most of them are useless. Design problem. Most of the arcanes are useless, so your point is invalid. More arcanes would make other arcanes useless. I just know that better mods cost more capacity. They don't have to. Why would they cost more capacity? They don't have to cost more. Does a new arcane cost more arcane capacity? Does it? Does a new weapon cost more weapon slot? More capacity only ever happens because DE decided to give something more capacity. As I pointed out in my video today, if you compare split chamber and galvanized chamber, oh yeah, galvanized chamber uses 1 point more drain. On a polarized slot, it is no different. None. Nada. Zip. Nil differential. And that is something that can be continued. Think of every MMO that has ever existed. You are, of course, limited by the slots you can equip things to, but you can just get better things to deal with the higher level content. We have to acknowledge as gamers that in a live service MMO, continuous power scaling is what happens. And as soon as we have that for health tanking, we're good to go. And the crazy thing is that this rising tide lifts all boats. If it's a damage reduction focus to make it where your healing is more effective, to make it where your effective hit points is just higher, every frame can benefit from that. Every frame. Sure, your shield gators probably won't want it as much, but it means then that frames that have to use shield gating at XYZ level would be more capable of alternative methods. Everyone benefits. No, I've got to say, the Eclipse Subsume shouldn't help in terms of health tank balance. What makes you say that? What makes you say that, No Life Guides? You're almost right, but I don't know if you're right for the correct reason, and that does matter. Because I don't want you walking away with that thinking you've got it all figured out. I mean, I might not have it all figured out, but from where I'm sat, figured it out. So No Life Guides, why do you say that Eclipse hasn't made things better for health tanks? Just to be very clear, for anyone who's missing out on this, Eclipse is a guaranteed 75% damage reduction on the frame you subsume it onto. Straight up, 75%. So your health tank is now just 4 times more effective. This can take you to 120% higher levels. So if it can just take you to 120% higher levels, why is it not seemingly the savior? The answer is it's a subsume slot. It's not a matter of scaling. It is a matter of we simply can't afford it. You get 1 subsume. 1. So there is no more room for that. This is the same thing over and over, that in comparison to the other forms of tanking, health tanks have to continuously keep giving up. They have to give up mod slots and arcane slots. They have to give up now the subsume is the idea there, just to be able to still potentially do what they're here for. What do you mean invalid target?
I will administer a Vasca curative as soon as they arrive.
Get down. Thank you. That's why Eclipse doesn't seem like it is the way forwards, and because of that you are correct. It's not the, oh, well, clearly that shows damage reduction isn't enough. No, it shows that if we are having to give up our power to get there, then we're just going to fall further behind. I don't mind having to use everything at my disposal in a mission. But if I'm having to use everything at my disposal to survive, when the other options are, nah, I'm good. Same build I used 500 levels ago still works. There's a mismatch. Everything can tank via invis through evade. Yeah, that's energy tanking via stealth, which is its own problem, as I also outlined, yeah. There are no gotchas. You'll find this. There are no gotchas on this. I'm not making a point out of blindness. I'm not your typical Reddit user. I'm not championing a absolutely pointless discussion. Well, I'm coming at this from the position of level agnostic defenses are a problem, I mean that. Any answer you give about, oh, but what about this form of level agnostic defense? Yes. Still the problem. I can't hear the internet saying you should be able to do any type of content at the highest level possible in the game using any frame as long as your build is right. Yes, some will be better than others, but at that point most are unusable. I would challenge on the definition of highest level. Highest design level. Highest intended level. Yes. If we have frames that cannot participate at a level, that's a problem. Now, a further counter to this is some frames are good enough for that level for some content but not others, and that is absolutely fine. I am perfectly fine with, say, Lavos not being good enough at defending mirror defense at really high level. The whole point of a varied arsenal is you pick the tool for the job. Was one of these the actual giant eidolon? Because it made it sound. What? That was weird. Yeah, level cap is an extrapolation to absurdity. And it's not... D have said this in their own dev short. It is not a balancing factor. It is not a balancing factor, and it simply can't be. It just can't and shouldn't. Yeah, Architect's reality. Yeah, I don't want to make that point too much because that would come across as a little bit elitist. But you are correct. The whole level agnostic functions in a game where levels are a problem shouldn't be controversial. You are right. You are right. Rad Robot saying right tool for the job includes level cap. Don't necessarily think every frame should be great there. No, because you're talking about the level, whereas I'm talking about the job. And you're saying that the level is the job, and I disagree. I disagree on that. The job is capturing animals. The job is defending an objective. The job is getting into spy vaults. That is the job. The job... Get out of here, stupid fly. The job is the objective. The level is the difficulty of that objective. How much more effort do you need to put in to complete said objective? Spy vaults have a level. You may not have noticed it. I hope you have. Spy vaults have a level. The higher level the spy mission, the more defenses are online, the more pathways are shut. On top of the enemies being a problem. There you go, Mantis. Not all frames should be able to handle every job at the maximum level that the job is designed for. But every frame should be able to get to doing their job at that top level. If a frame is a damage dealer, they should be able to handle survivals and exterminates at that top level. If a frame is a defensive frame, they should be able to handle defense and excavation at that top level. If a frame is a stealth frame, they well, stealth missions don't really go that high, do they? And that is perhaps arguably a gap. Yeah. But that's a different discussion. Exactly, Aries, yeah. Not working in level cap is fine because it's an extrapolation to absurdity. Not working for its role in EDA or ETA, definitely a problem. Now, should every frame be able to do all of ETA no matter the job? Honestly, no. Honestly, no. But part of the problem there is you get offered max rewards for picking one of the 3 frames that are made available to you. But, yeah, that's a choice of a player to not work with friends. It's a squad-based game. Can be part of the arguments there. That comes down to design goals again. You can cheese it as well, so just saying. I don't think it's necessary that Lavos be able to handle even ETA mirror defense solo. I don't think that's necessary. It would be nice, sure. but it shouldn't be an out-and-out guarantee. He should be able to tank at that point because he is a tank frame, but actually protecting the objective, he hasn't really got anything for that. He's got some very soft crowd control options. He's got his radiation output, he's got his cold, he's got a little bit of stun on his 3. No. Solo shouldn't be necessary, but it should function in a squad. Frames should have their positions that they can take on in different squads, yeah. EDA, ETA is supposed to be an extreme challenge, not supposed to be for everyone. Ooh, I disagree. I disagree. Or at least I disagree on the potential definition of everyone, because that needs defining here. It shouldn't be for every level of player, yes, but it should be for every player, eventually. The idea of, oh sorry, you're just not good enough at the game, you're incapable of playing at that at any point, I don't think we want EDA to be that kind of a limit. But it is a case of some frames just aren't the right tools for the job. EDA and ETA have their own issues on really restricting the tools of the job at times, and that is a problem. That is its own problem, but that's not to do with health tank. We are getting a little bit away from the health tank, which is the main focus at the moment. Min saying, should squad formation be a good idea to make EDA or ETA a better game mode? Such as tune the weekly Warframe choices to have different roles available at all times for everyone to be able to choose from a role rather than random pick. Who knows, maybe D are going to sneak that in. Having decided that Warframe fit into 5 categories and can be in more than one category at a time, maybe they're doing that. Or maybe even just thinking about it. Who knows? Roles suck? Oh, well. I guess you hate life then. Don't know what to tell you. No one does everything. In order to be unique, in order to be different, you have things you are better at and things you are worse at. That's not a Warframe thing, that's life. No, there was a second. Where are you? Might be over the hill. Where is it? There it is. Got it. No, don't try to kill it, you fucking idiot. Doesn't D build around group play, or are we past that time period? We don't really know. Because D don't tell us. Why is assassinating a hamster even an option? When it's invulnerable, it shouldn't be. Yeah, Warframe has this weird thing where we both are solo and squad and don't really make a distinction between the two enough, I suppose. Again, the design intent and space isn't really made clear. At no point have DE come out and said EDA should be a squad thing or only a squad thing, nor have they said it should be solo accessible at all times. It's a gap in the intention. You say Archimedes have a warning message that is balanced around full squads. Oh, never mind, I take it back then. I must have forgotten that message. I'll be honest. That's my fault. Maybe that message needs to pop up more then. If someone fails one, have it pop up and go, hey, yeah, you know, this is based around squads. Do you want to go get some friends? So yeah, I take it back. Yeah, Archimedes is designed around a squad, so fair enough then. Pops up for every time you sign up solo? Does it? I don't notice. Okay. I'm. You know what? Time to call myself out. Time to call myself out big time. Let's go do this. Screw getting the standing. It's not actually that big of a deal. Give me a moment. Give me a sec here. Let's load into you. Do I now deserve to be slapped? Let's find out.
A well-oiled machine is truly a thing of beauty.
Hi. Right, let's just unlock. Yeah. No pop-up. I thought I hadn't seen one coming up all the time. Who said it pops up anytime you start solo? Who said that? I don't see any damn thing. But yes, I do remember there being some kind of warning earlier on. If online it pops up on public? Ah, okay. Let's how do I cancel this at the moment? Did that cancel it? I think I cancelled it.
Experiments are under threat from
there it is. So when you set it to solo, it actually hides that. Okay. That's weird. That's so weird.
Prepare well, for we shall not return.
What? So when you're set up to have people join you, it warns you that it's designed to have people with you. Yeah, let's see. Does it pop up on the others where you can have people with you, but you've locked them out from publicly joining you? No!
Remember, our aim is to save
Why does it only pop up when people can join? They've set it the wrong way round, haven't they?
quiet.
That's what it is. This isn't intentional. They've just set it to the wrong way round. Okay, so we're all Muppets here today. It's a small thing. I can see how that slips by. Who's even looking for that one? Oh dear. Yeah, alright. I can't say, meaning you decide and choose solo whilst the game is set to public as default. No, that's the thing, it's still the other way around. If you're public, people can join you, so it fixes the issue. So why is it warning you about the issue it's going to fix? Whereas if you're any other mode of squad and don't bring people with you, that's when it should warn you of, are you sure you want to do that? And it doesn't. Does it do matchmaking for Archimedia? I'm not going to double check that right now. I thought it would, but I'm not going to double check that right now. Actually, I'm going to check it, but not by going in. Oh, no, people are saying it does. It does, it does. Okay, well, okay. Fair enough, then. I will take everyone's word on it. Chat has never lied to me. So there we go. That'll be why I don't see that message. I either play in a pre-made, or I don't play Yeah, I just don't play open public, do I? Because why would I? So that's why I don't see that message. Because I don't subject myself to that. Huh. The more you know, really? The more you know. Only matches once you go in, not before? I mean, that makes sense, of course, yeah. That's every mission. So, this really comes down to the broadest of design spaces at this stage. Because in a pre-made squad, you can cover the different roles really easily. You can also cheese the roles. If you really want to, you could have two people go in with the absolute perfect loadouts, and the other two people just tag along with whatever they can use. And then once you've done the EDA, easily because two people are just absolutely smashing it, you swap. The two people who got the max reward now switch to the super loadouts, and the two people who have the super loadouts switch to getting their rewards. And you do it again. It is absolutely cheesable. But then Warframe is a game designed to be cheesed. I've said that for years as well. So yeah. Perhaps from that perspective, health tanking is supposed to have a support along the way. that we can tank solo up to the end of solo content, and thereafter it's hurry up and figure it out, mate. I don't know what to make of that. With so much Warframe content being so solo trivialized, to then end up with a mission that's designed around having a squad support each other that much harder. I mean, that's supposed to exist, but like, where does that fit into it all? As I'm saying, in fairness, in our testing, we're usually just doing levels, not modifiers. I'm not sure what you're referencing there, sorry. Not sure what you're referencing. If you're talking about the Valkyrie test, I did specifically turn on the modifiers that would affect her and kept off the ones that she would, after rework, not be affected by, so... yeah. Or would actively choose not to have, let's be real. This is a very complex topic, obviously. But... I keep coming back to the same point. That really it just comes down to D's design intent. And I don't say this out of laziness. I don't say this out of not knowing. I more say this out of experience. I'm not someone who's designed and been champion of major game development stuff, not at all. But I have done plenty of balancing of gameplay experiences, including most notably with the stuff that I've done with D&D, both the publication I put out, which by the way, D&D WF if you want to have a look at that, and also with just making campaigns, with setting up games in general, outside of that, various different areas of making things happen. We've all dabbled, and a big part of that is you have to decide what you actually want the game to look like. Yeah. Kozilek saying, could actually pre-made made to health tank actually chew through the damage intake at, let's say, level 2000 plus? Let's see, level 2000. Let's take level 2000 as a number, because that's the one you've given me there. 2000 raised to the 1.55. Divided by levels... I say my levels can usually tank pretty lazily at level 300. So let's divide that by the 300 to 1.55. So that is a 19-fold damage increase. 19-fold. From level 300 to level 2000, 19-fold damage increase in that ballpark. So you would need to have 19 times the defense for it to feel just as good for level 300 as he would then at level 2000. That doesn't seem unmanageable, to be quite honest, from a squad. That really does not seem unmanageable. So you need to be taking about 5% of the existing damage at that point. If you have a 90% damage reduction from someone, and a 50% damage reduction from someone else, you're already there. It's just that shoving that onto an individual frame, that's the toughie. That's the toughie. Putting it onto the frame and keeping it at those stacks, that's where it gets hard. But yeah. A team could absolutely do that. A team of players could absolutely make health tanking work at that point. But how much would you have to give up for that, I suppose? Because of those level agnostic immortality options. Hell, fine, you can just have a Revenant wade in and just activate the Mesmer Shield. Just putting it out there, that exists. You know? That exists. Still equipped? Yep. Would not a healer also need to be a tank and vice versa to save their team? I mean, that's meant to be the idea with healers a lot of the time in games, is that they have the ability to evade or resist damage enough that they can they can exist without needing yet another healer. Their idea is that they stay back enough from the damage, and then you'll have your tanks will be the taunts to bring the damage away from them, and then DPS to deal with the threats. That's kind of a usual circuit. Your healer buffer, your tank and taunt, your damage dealer, and then you'll have a specialist filling in some odd roles. That's your standard squad for these kinds of things. And if you have a larger than 4-man group, people just kind of fit into one of those 4 roles typically. Yeah. Secret Menu 5. Let's see what that one is, Kelton. It's that one. So yeah, there are absolutely ways and means. Trinity, for example, giving out 75% damage reduction to everyone through Blessing, which, by the way, would only take a 4-fold factor off of this, not the 20-fold we need, but still gets you a lot closer. Then you've got Trinity is also buffing herself with Link for another 75% damage reduction, and then also can provide the status immunity and general healing from Well of Life. Trinity provides a whole bunch of stuff already outright there. Perhaps those numbers could afford to go higher. Oh yeah. Would I consider Warframe's high parkour mobility an issue with establishing squad roles? I think I get where you're coming from with the question there, which is, would I consider the fact that Warframes can very quickly navigate away from each other make it difficult to maintain the usefulness of those roles? Why is it? I was set to public still. Doesn't Well of Life also prevent bleed out? I can't recall on that one, sorry. Can't recall. That and also away from enemies as to not need a tank. Well, the role of the tank. Are you saying not needing tank as in a tank? Hold on, let's see. Where's your message go? That and also away from enemies as to not need a tank. So yeah, a healer can try to just get away from enemies, but the point is that the healer still needs to be in position to do the healing and buffing, and enemies can spawn from all around you in your typical missions, so you still need to find a way to make it where they're not attacking the healer. But yes, you're very right, the mobility that a healer can get can save them from a hell of a lot of damage as well. But if that was sufficient, Architect Reality, if Bullet Jump was sufficient to make it where you didn't need to worry about having the aggression of enemies, then there wouldn't be a tank discussion in the first place about health tanks, because they could just bullet jump, right? The very fact that health tanks can't bullet jump their way to not having to worry shows that that's not enough. Hold on, what button do I need here? 9, there we go. It's all a thing, and again, it just circles back around to that very first point of what is D's design intent, and will they tell players what it is and get good if you don't like it, I guess. But I do still feel that the difference between hit point tanks and level agnostic tanks definitely is a situation. But maybe I'm wrong on that, to be honest. Maybe I should be finding a pocket trinity in every mission. I do find that the modifiers that ETA and EDA give take them far beyond their stated level because they turn off, or require you to turn off, a number of the features that those frames rely on. How many crowd control frames have you turned down because you see Overguard is everywhere in one of the missions? Which, by the way, is an absolutely terrible modifier. I hate that modifier. I mean, Alsu, they are addressing it. Whether they're addressing it the way you like it or not, it's part of the conversation now. And so far, it looks like they are suggesting it is an important part of the tank for Valkyria. That's what I'm saying about what is their intention. They may come out with an intention we don't like, individually or as a community. Ultimately, that is their intention. They're the ones in control. I don't want to mind the red ones. I just want the blue ones. I just want the blue ones. So, how about if each Shieldgate trigger costs you 10 health? I mean, there's loads of very, very easy ways to get 10 health. A health orb gives you 50, so I don't know how much value that has. I'm really surprised that did not block me from mining that. That is so weird. Well, there we go. Huh? How does that work? Wait, we're in a cave. Alright. That thing can go through walls, apparently. Friends are saying Nova face tanks EDA brings the crowd control. The only thing to ruin your day is powerless modifier. Also have to give up 37 and 37, but in EDA it does not matter. Yeah, in EDA and to an extent ETA, the Pix chips mostly give you access to the arcanes. That's the primary reward that they give you, right? There we go. So you can give up on a little bit there if you really, really don't have a squad that can help carry you that little bit. It's again a toughie. Maybe the answer really is just players get good. But my issue on that, I suppose, would be that it's not just the level, it's not just the squad, it's not just the get good, it's that without cheesing it, each person in your 4-man pre-made squad, you and your 3 buddies, there's 12 frames between you to pick from. 3 each. And otherwise you're going to have to start giving up on stuff if you can't really cover the roles. Or, again, cheese it. Is that the design intent? For it to be difficult to the point of, just run it twice? I'm not sure. I'm genuinely not sure at this point. Bollocks, I thought I had that. There we go. And all that for a red vein. Screw you. Blue? Nope. Nope. What have I picked up so far? Not a lot. I think that's like 2, 4, 5, 6-ish thousand standing. Ew. That is not a lot. Let's fly over there. It's doing range just end shield gating now. It would make a lot of people very upset, yes. It would make a lot of people very upset. Right, I wanted to get to that cave. Entrance is right here. There we go. No. Oh, bollocks, that was a bonus gem. My bad. And let's get you. I only want the bonus gems. Or gem veins. Ah, speaking of gem vein. Yay! Got it. I'm saying shield gate is a bit counterintuitive. What do you mean the best way to use shields is to use as little as possible with fast recharge? Yeah. That's a whole conversation in itself at this point, yeah. Again, the reason shield gating was first introduced was so that Warframes, especially squishy Warframes, wouldn't seemingly just get one shot out of nowhere. That you would have an opportunity to respond. So, there's something in that, but I'll be honest, at this point I'm not grasping it too well. There's something in there. My noodle's a little bit baked at this point. Unsolvable? Oh, just because I don't have an answer right now doesn't mean unsolvable. Oh wait, that was part of the message you were saying to someone else? God, just put the message in one spot. Alright. So the state of enemies having substantially more damage and we substantially more healing than Warframe health. There are frames who, outside of shield gating, just don't have defense, right? And people who want to play those frames at higher level content do not appreciate being told, get a friend or get dead. Maybe extra attack mods is the answer then. But not just... Like I said earlier about the whole rising tide lifts all ships, maybe in that regard it's... it ends up beneficial for everyone because you also have these squishy frames can mod to be not squishy. Kind of like how I made a health tank Banshee. But... Again, not sure. Why do you get punished for having more weapons? Ah, well, now that is a very different kettle of fish. That is a very different one. When solo gain plus 10,000 armor? I got a few issues with that one. Not least of which the when solo. Well, I did make a... I did pitch an idea for a solo specific mod, or at least a less than full squad mod not that long ago. It was a case of, if you're in less than a full squad, improve the effectiveness of auras. So, if you were solo, and you had the aura fix mod on, corrosive projection would act like you had 4 in the squad, similar to in Railjack. Although it's technically not 4 of them in the squad, it's technically your NPC crew copying it, but you know, what scrub doesn't have 3 NPC crew at this point, eh? What things do you do to prepare for a new Prime's release? You gain standing with the Open World Syndicate, so that is the Solaris United, the Ostrons, and the Entrati family. You get as much standing as you can with the core syndicates, whichever 2 or 3 you're supporting. and then you get a few hundred steel essence. And that's it, Leary. That is it. You wish Sentinels a better way to help with tanking? I mean, they've got a couple things they can do. They can shoot pretty damn nicely, which is a form of tanking. They can restore your shield gate 100%. Restore your shield. And they can give you a little bit of healing here or there. They're not completely without options. The punish for having more weapons will typically reference EDA and ETA because the left-hand column should always be things that you own, is my understanding. Unless you own, like, almost nothing, at which point I think anti-cheese might kick in. But usually that left-hand column should be only things you own. But if you own a whole bunch of crappy primaries, secondaries, and melees, screw that one, then that column can be filled up with crap, and the other two columns are anything in the damn game, which can also often be crap. I can't be bothered to do any more of this. I don't want to do any more mining. I've done enough mining for today. How about mods that decrease enemy accuracy? I mean, it has an effect. Is that not just tanking with extra steps? I know it's a different form, it's evasion, but that's just, hey, how about a mod that allows us to survive more? Like, you're not wrong, but it's also not really the point. The point isn't what different types of mod could we have, so much as we're looking for the mods to allow us to still do the thing. Yeah. And again, that still comes down to, look at all this investment we're having to do whilst level agnostic immortality exists. I don't know, honestly. I genuinely don't know. Because all of the answers are correct at this point. The only actually correct answer is the ones that D decide to implement. And everything else isn't the correct answer because they didn't do it. And at the end of the day, they're the one making the game. It's a weird one. By the way, I may occasionally already have a bunch of stems standing. I won't, because I don't go out onto the plains all that much. Not on the plains, the orb. The Valis. What options did I end up with here, by the way? I didn't look at that. I've got Volt, Gauss, Excalibur. Okay. Far from terrible frames, absolutely. Loadout Boltor, which has a Incarnon, so I have an Incarnon primary available. As well as Perigale, Grinlock. Perigale's not terrible. Icarius, pretty shit. Aximati, pretty shit. Nucor, yas. Heat Sword, Nami Solo, and Karudo. I think Nami Solo has an Incarnon as well, so we've got 2 Incarnons and a... what's it? A high-powered... not progenitor. Adversary weapon. Plus 3 frames that can definitely get some work done. Gear embargo, pain in the ass. Energy exhaustion, pain in the ass. Lethargic shields, pain in the ass. And abbreviated abilities. Wow, just fuck Gauss, I guess. Jesus. Mantis! Thank you very much for the 6 gifted subs to the community there. Much appreciated. That's gone out to No Life Guides, to Farasa, to Washed, to Pollux, to I Can't Hear the Internet, and to Funzy. Mantis, thank you very much for those. Much appreciated. Cheers. Think he's ready, getting ready to lose his Confessor? Nah, it'll be fine. He'll be fine. Although, if he does lose it, it's not like I can give him a whole bunch. Those got blown up. But yeah, these are nasty. Are you an energy frame? Are you a shield frame? Are you an ability frame? Yes? Well, fuck you. Yikes. Yeah, I might come back on that at some point. I don't want to do that right now, especially as we're almost an hour over the end of stream. Oopsies. We had a lot to talk about. We had a lot to talk about, that is for certain. You just cheese with Hildren? Understandable. Understandable. I think it's about time we do a platinum giveaway. If you've not already grabbed yourself a ticket, exclamation mark ticket in the chat for a chance to win it. We'll be doing that draw very shortly. Give away 75 platinum to any one person who's entered with a ticket. It's going to be one of you, but only one of you. Exclamation mark ticket in the chat for a chance to win that. Doesn't matter if you're on PlayStation, Xbox, PC, Switch, or mobile. Doesn't matter if it's your first time here or your 1000th. I mean, it could be possible. Have I done 1,000 streams? I don't think I've done 1,000 streams. No. I don't stream enough to have done 1,000 streams at this point. I'll do like, what? About 150 streams a year? Somewhere in that ballpark? So yeah, no. I'm closing in on 1,000, I guess, but I'm not at 1,000. Oh yeah, Zom, you're up at 2 months of watch time. What do you know? It says 1 month, 30 days, 10 hours. Huh. Is it registering a month as 31 days because we're in May? That's weird. That is... Typically if something measures things in months, but not actual months, you'd use 30 days, right? That's weird. Zom, I kind of hate that you brought that to my attention now. That's, ooh. I'm kind of curious if that's going to end up saying something completely different next month for you, when it's a 30-day month. If it's tied to the month we're in, that... Ooh. I don't want to think about the programming behind that. Let's just close this giveaway. If you ain't grabbed a ticket yet, you clearly didn't want one because the stream's been live for nearly 4 hours. Let's see who the winner is today. It's only going to be one person. It's only going to be one person. That winner today is... Titanium-filled pancakes. Ooh, okay, that's... That is not a meal that I would recommend. That is not a meal I would recommend. Wow, but all the same. Titanium-filled pancakes, congratulations. You are the winner today of the Platinum. I'll be contacting you via Twitch DM shortly after the end of this stream. Get hold of your Warframe username, your platform, and if you have cross-save turned on or not. We'll get that sent on over to you there. And everyone else in the stream, thank you very much for joining today. Do not go running off just yet. We are going to be raiding out to another part of the Warframe community. Let's see. Where can we drag ourselves over to today? Who can we show an absolute good time to? In fact, I think I have one. Let's have a look here. Yep, that's going to be somewhere we can raid on into. They've been live for a while as well, but we're still going to raid into them all the same. So it doesn't look like they are wrapping up. I want to be certain. We're going to go anyway. Let's do this. Let's do this. We're sprinting over. We're heading on over to Your Lucky Clover. They popped into the arsenal, so they're definitely not wrapping up right now. But that is all from me today. Thank you everyone for joining in, and I will see you again, hopefully on Friday, for some more Not Warframe. In the meantime, have a good rest of your week. Bye-bye.